Welcome in MWR6, the very best day of the season. The grand finals are here. I'm Kingfisher, joined by Piercing. Have a banger of a matchup tonight. It's going to be Louisville taking on Michigan State in our first grand final. We got another one later, but for now, this is the one we're focusing in on. Without further ado, Piercing, how excited are you? We finally made it, last game of the season.
I mean, I couldn't be any less excited than, or I'm sorry, any more excited. I got it backwards there. I couldn't be any more excited than I am right now. I mean, a lot of stuff's been kind of going into motion. Finally got my prescriptions and my Nicorette gum. No more vaping, guys. Wish me luck. But honestly, I'm really excited for tonight. A lot of stuff in motion. Finally getting to see how it all comes to end with Louisville and MSU. I'm really excited to see how this all plays out. I know it's going to be a whirly whirl for me regardless.
Yeah, I am too. And I think we've already seen this teams. I know I covered MSU last week. I think you've covered Louisville in the past as well. So hopefully we'll be
Mhm.
able to bring you a lot of familiarity with these two. With that being said, going to jump right in, get to our first team roster. Believe it should be Louisville coming up on the screen. And indeed it is. West, Fang, Standing, Forerunner, and then of course Jay Razor. Piercing, if you want to take him through the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with a 9-1, obviously they deserve to be exactly where they are. Also, I love the Australian Shepherd from Fang. Actually, I believe I have seen Fang's Australian Shepherd before. Actual sweetie, favorite dog breed of all time. But yeah, we've got West, Fang, Standing, Forerunner, and Jay Razor. We've seen them before, and we love them all the same. And we're gonna get to see them yet again for tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Jay Razor, of course, your top ranked Division 5 player. Going to have to be a standout here for Louisville. And we're going to see just who the player over time is. The man of the hour, Jay Razor, already insane stats back in the fall season of 2024. And it's what you like to see, improvement across the board. 63 SPR, incredible rating, over 2 KDR, over a kill per round, and the survivability at 40%. Getting all those kills, making that impact while staying alive is so difficult to do. I'm sure we'll continue to sing his praises the entire night. With that being said, let's take a look at what maps Louisville are playing, see if we can get kind of some insight into what might be going on later tonight.
Yeah, as far as the maps go, we're seeing quite a diverse roster of maps all the way up until Clubhouse and Nighthaven. Clubhouse at 7, Nighthaven at 5 times played, while Borders, Chalet, Consulate, and Cafe all played 2 times. Now, to me, there's always something that I love when it comes to a team, and it's a diversity of map choices, right? Yes, you see 7 and 5 for Clubhouse and Nighthaven, but still a good mix of other maps in between, which I will always find commendable. Could be higher, especially with how much Clubhouse was played. But hey, if you can ego it 50-50 raw gunfight and coordination all the way to the top, who am I to judge or anyone else?
Now that we get a little bit of an idea of the map pool, we're going to see the Season 1 roadmap for Louisville. Just what happened. Of course, took a loss to Northwood, and that's going to be one of the more important matchups, but I'm zeroed in on week number 3. They beat Michigan State the first time these teams matched up, 2-0. Though it has to be noted, Michigan State did get the win against Northwood last week, so some cool kind of inner ranking play going on here. But it is going to be an insane rematch. And before we show you that Michigan State squad, going to kick it right over to the quote from Louisville, just kind of gauge where the thoughts are, where the confidence is. I'm just here so I can see the Ash Elite, and I hope we have a lot of Ash gameplay tonight. Such a fun operator to look at, especially when it's wielded well, and knowing how aggressive these 5 players, how good these 5 players are, certain that we will see plenty of it.
Honestly, especially if it's Clubhouse for the map, which I'm sure they're going to invest a lot of bands to try to make that happen. Yeah, we're going to be seeing quite a lot of Ash. But now we're going to see what MSU has onto the table. Let's bring them forward with the roster. And of course, Michigan State Club, record 8-2, only one loss more, but still very close neck and neck with a player average rank of 124. And for their roster, again, we've seen them, and now we see it yet again for one last time. We've got Anxiety, Mr. Epic, Overlord, Guac, and Steel. For the Overlord, I have to wonder if that's a reference to, I forget the name of the game, but there, it was a game on the Wii, very niche game. I don't think any of you are going to know what I'm thinking of here.
Yep, you're blanking me. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe it'll come back to us mid-cast, but of course, some players to watch as we're gonna go right into the player over time. For Michigan State, it's Mr. Epic. This is a player we got to see last week extensively, just how much they can affect this game, and incredible increases all across the board. The numbers, I have to note, are somewhat smaller than Jay Razor, but still good enough to make the top 5 for the division. Did slot in at number 5 if you weren't watching earlier. Rating of 55, over a kill and a half, or 1.5 kill death ratio, almost a kill per round, and a very similar survival rating. But not the only player that can step up on MSU. Guac and Steel last week especially had some very nice games. That being said, let's see these players' maps, see if anything specific matches up in what they like to play. Notably, Clubhouse,
Wow.
the top pick for Louisville, is kind of at the bottom of the played for Michigan State.
Yeah, and they've only played 4 maps this season, and that's it. That's a much more concentrated pool. And this is where things get scary as far as maps being picked. Even the third and fourth most picked maps, Chalet and Clubhouse at 3 and 2, weren't picked all that often. That narrows down the choices quite dramatically and actually gives a very valid target pick of Nighthaven at 8 times played and Border at 6. If teams are paying attention to what are the most played maps, both of the teams, I would say, but probably even more so MSU, there's a clear target on which maps to get rid of, especially since Border and Nighthaven aren't really the classic 3. Clubhouse is going to be hard to get rid of in general, but it's not a strat heavy, so there's a case for it to get banned. But Nighthaven and Border, 100% on the table. So I'm going to say we probably might not even see those maps, to be honest.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of because when the pool is this limited on what a team's playing, obviously the other squad is going to try to take you away from that. We'll see the map ban soon enough. First, we got the quote here from Michigan State. Of course, remember, hoping for some match gameplay on the side of Louisville. Oh, sorry, the roadmap. My bad. The roadmap, not the quote. And interestingly, kind of the same loss we saw on the side of Louisville. They lost to Northwood in the regular season. Of course, quick reminder, did just beat them last week. So we're able to turn that result around effectively. But that week 3 matchup is still the one they're looking to really get reversed here. Do not want to lose to Louisville. And more importantly, do not want to finish second 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah, that would be a bittersweet feeling, to put it lightly. And yeah, I mean, looking at the roadmap so far, pretty much like you said, the direct comparison, Northwood and versus Louisville, they lost at 0-2. Though both of them lost to Northwood, but this time it was a more modest 1-2. How much weight that holds in gold, I don't know. Might be more silver than anything else. But either way, I mean, that is still objectively a better performance, but they still lost. So take that as you will.
Yeah, and try to get there earlier. Now we're going to go there, see what the quote is for Michigan State. 4 diamonds, 1 gold. That is a scary, scary roster. Anytime you throw a gold into the mix, anything can happen there from Overlord. Got to do the post-game interview with them last week as well. Very confident squad, and a squad that is gelling in every sense of the word. They're getting along great. They are playing even better. Now we're going to throw it to the player head-to-head. Believe it should be between Mr. Epic and Jay Razor again. And indeed it is. If you want to take us through this number, because I'm looking at one single-digit number that is standing out there for Jay Razor.
And we all know what it is. It's the league rank. Jay Razor, amongst all the heavy hitters, and they are number 3 in the entire league. That's a scary, scary stat line to be at, knowing that you're one of the top dogs. And the numbers back it up too. SPR, 63.09. The vast majority of exchanges, something's going to happen in turn, whether it's an assist, a kill, any kind of consequence. Jay Razor's death does not come without some kind of punishment. That's what's really important there. Not every time are you going to be able to isolate a player with a high SPR. You're going to have to sacrifice something in turn. When you have numbers like that, it makes targeting a lot less effective. And the KD to back it up too with a 2.08 pretty much makes him a huge threat. You're going to have to deal with it, but you aren't going to have as much opportunity to go in. Meanwhile, Mr. Epic is still showing some very impressive stat lines all on its own with a 55.67 SPR. Not as high, so still a valid target, but with a more modest stat line that might make such a play not really worthwhile, especially with the team dynamics that you spoke of. At a 1.55 KD, at a 27th place in the league rank. Still very strong showing, but I feel MSU will be more balanced in that sense that there is no star player that you're like, yes, let's get that person. I don't think that will be there for MSU, which is actually what I see as a positive and an advantage.
Yeah, of course, we're going to throw it to the team comparison here, see just how these squads stack up. Mr. Epic still was the star player when we're remembering back to last week, but everyone can step up, right? I mean, I think Guac and Steel particularly had rounds where they really showed up on MSU. I personally didn't get to cover Louisville this season, so waiting to see what they're doing and looking at the average ranks as well with 69.99. These are two very good squads. Also have to remind you, these aren't ratings for the division 5 to 7. This is all 7 divisions, the entire league. Both of these squads really stacking up well. Similar in rounds, similar KD, obviously still favoring Louisville slightly. And of course, the Midwest Bets line favoring Louisville. I think most people across the board are, but this Michigan State squad is capable of upsetting before. We saw it last week. We might see it this week, but we're going to move on, see just who's going to be topping these boards. The lobby kill leaders are up next, and we wouldn't expect anything else. Jay Razor and Mr. Epic soaring above the rest. 272 is criminal.
Yeah, really dangerous numbers. Though, with a huge drop off for the third place position, and that would be West with 177. I mean, that's some insane discrepancies to talk about. That's around 33% difference in how many kills are getting racked up. Seriously, some impressive stuff. And of course, Mr. Epic, as we discussed before, sitting at 199, which is still a very heavy kill leader. But I am still so curious as to what the rest of the kills behind that look like. Because I always kind of get curious of how far does it taper off beyond the top three? Is it a massive drop off or is it still pretty balanced? But we don't really get a clear picture of that, at least as much as I was hoping. But I still believe, regardless, those are going to be some key players. Maybe not when they're the most expected, but they will probably have some of the more grandstanding presentations for us.
Yeah, and of course, now going to be able to move over to the map, something I'm sure many of you have been waiting for. We're going to see where we're going, and this one could be trouble for Michigan State. If you remember back to the rotation, they've only played 4 maps. Cafe, Skyscraper have not been touched this season by Michigan State. They're going on to Nighthaven Labs second, which is their most played map, and accordingly, it is their map pick. But I know I'd be nervous if I were them. University of Louisville, obviously, with some experience on these 2 maps. But the one good thing working in MSU's favor, there's no game tape on them. Louisville's going to come in. They are not going to know what strats MSU is trying to run, how they play this map, how they approach this. If they've been prepping for it, it could work in the Spartans' advantage. We'll just have to see, and I'm sure we'll talk plenty more on it later. But before we get into game here, which should be fairly soon, we're going to go to the bracket, I believe. Oh, sorry, no. No bracket, no bracket. We'll just have to wait and see. But I mean, while we're in this transitional state, Piercing, tell me about it. What are you expecting out of Cafe?
Honestly, as far as Cafe goes, I think that's going to be... trying to recall the map history there. I don't think either of these teams really played that map at all, did they? So I think that one's going to be a huge toss-up between the both. As far as Nighthaven Labs, I think that one's going to be probably more decisive in favor of, I believe it was MSU who had 8 times played for that map. So I think if Louisville loses map 1, Cafe, which I think will be a major toss-up, that's going to be possibly a huge choke point. As far as Skyscraper, though, I have no idea who's going to win that. Genuinely don't know. It could be a wild card that is being hidden. It could be a blowout situation, and that map was never meant to be on the portfolio in the first place, and yet here it is. So I really do believe it ultimately comes down to who wins Cafe. If it's Louisville, I'd say we're going to go to map 3. If it's MSU, however, we could flat out see a 2-0, which would make me sad because How many times have I gotten the C skyscraper other than the staff match? Right, 0. So I need this. I need this to go to decider. But in any case, we'll see how that plays out as we start with map 1, Cafe Dostoevsky.
Grand finals start right now. Louisville taking on Michigan State, ready to get into this one. I'm sure the players are too. They've waited long enough, and they have finally made it. Dokkaebi going to be the first ban. Of course, nobody wants their phone ringing in the middle of the war. Interested to see what bans come out as well. Deimos has been a sneaky operator that's kind of been trending up in terms of bans. Interested to see if we'll see Louisville go that way. No, they're not. They're going to go with a blitz ban. So Deimos on the table, Blackbeard on the table, and more importantly, no vertical ops banned. Obviously, Cafe is one of those maps where if you control the top floor, you control so much of the pace of that round. Having Ram, Buck, Ash, everything available makes for a lot of tools here for the attack, and the defense loses a big one, Azami off the board.
Pretty much hitting right where it hurts. This is looking like a very roam-heavy composition. Blitz gone. That's a lot of pressure that is now completely out of the way. Just don't get overzealous on the run out. Like you said, Blackbeard is still on the table. MSU going for the Vigil ban. How are we feeling about that?
You know, I think it has to be a target ban. It better be at least. Vigil is a strong operator, and I get why you ban him, right? Cafe is a map where drones are extremely important, so, you know, you want to make sure you're kind of keeping up with it. You're finding out where everybody is, and he kind of does that really well. You can't see him. It makes you so paranoid, so I like the ban. I think it could have been better. You know, there are defenders such as Mira on this map, which we're already seeing here from Sergeant Anxiety. Who, speaking of Sergeant Anxiety, hi Mom, hello Sergeant Small. But yeah, there are some other strong tools that remain on the side of the defense.
But, I mean, keep in mind, you still have J-Razor and Brava and West on Twitch who will be able to break that down pretty much immediately, and everyone's used to how to do that. Not to mention, MSU did not bring a Mute or a Mozzie, nothing to try to counteract this utility. So it's really just a matter of if MSU overextends on the roam, or they're just not paying attention, then Louisville has every opportunity available to completely break that down, making that utility near worthless.
Yeah, utility, very important when we're looking at Siege, and this is interesting. Guac on the first floor with Oryx. This player is so rotation heavy. We'll see if they can make an impact with that T5. So it looks like they could meet J-Razor very soon on, looking to enter from this bottom floor.
I have a good feeling they might be aware of that rotation. Guac wasn't exactly the most subtle or quiet about making it all the way down here, though he is deep into Kitchen at the moment. Will provide a little bit of stalling and hiding. It looks like he's going to try to go for a run out here. If he catches anyone, no, not going to be the case.
I mean, love the confidence, love the attempt, but now you are going to run smack dab into the par 308. J-Razor is in the bar. But luckily, Guac can just get up through the hatch. Sergeant balls to standing there. Louisville going to be the first squad on the board, and J-Razor starts to move throughout this floor. Guac on this second story, but a proximity alarm going to give the position away. And now struggling to find it. Here comes Guac looking for that engage, but falling away. Fang is going to fall off screen. Steal with the first kill. Overlord falls to Forerunner. Kills galore coming through in the first minute here of the round.
Yeah, they already lost a Mira too, so this is looking pretty much in Louisville's favor, like I was kind of talking about with how close this will be. So Guac will be able to disrupt that thanks to that extended roam. Louisville hasn't had an answer to deal with him quite yet. They tried to lock him out from White Stairs, but that backfired quite heavily by losing standing. No more Lion to try to pinch out these last remaining players. If you look at the position that they have available, they do have the full second floor and cigar, which is an anchor point to play with.
Gonna need to be careful though, of course. Guac can make a lot of rotations, can get back to vertical play if they drop as well. A lot of damage lanes onto Steel, and they're gonna get the kill as well. But it's West using that 417. Guac will get one. Still standing on this third floor. The Monty's moving up, but now have to count on J-Razor, who's making their way over to the White Stairs, and J-Razor gets a first onto Mr. Epic. They're gonna go for a revive onto this castle. They know he's down, but now he is back up. Monty can't make the play, block with 1 kill. Bullets flying, and Louisville wins. Jay Razor gets a last. They were never able to revive the castle. And just like that, the Cardinals on the board first.
Looks like they overplayed their hand over by second floor. I love the initiative that MSU was trying to run here, but like I kind of hinted at with the Mira and just the overall band dynamics, it looked like they were going to stretch it too far, and precisely that's what happened. Once they took Cigar and Christmas, that created a lot of pressure that's hard to navigate when you're splintered off like that. And I do understand, you know, the attempt to go for that revive there, but you got a Monty rushing right at you who's going to have that information on you, and a gun shortly following after when we saw that successful clear on the white stairs. It's just, sometimes you gotta bite the bullet and accept that teammate is not there. But with that shield alive, wasn't a lot of options. So, a great effort from MSU, but Louisville read it pretty much perfectly.
You can stop worrying about grenades now.
They really did, and you know, I don't always love the defenses going back to the same strat that tried the last round, but I think it was pretty obvious throughout that round 1. It was really kills getting it done. MSU, despite kind of letting Jay Razor walk up right there at the end and get the kills, put a pretty decent control. We did see Cigar control eventually fall over to Louisville, but that was about with a minute left, and with no Azami, kind of what you expect on these top floor defenses.
Yes, no going into this next round. I do wonder how this first floor roam is going to play. That run out gave away that he was doing this, even though there wasn't a lot of presence there to capitalize on it. But he goes full sends it anyway and does catch Jay Razor, which is a big blow to Louisville's ability to disrupt utility. All of the Jaegers and defaults are going to be in MSU's full control. Though they're still west with the Twitch, but I'm sure they're going to be way more cautious of that going forward.
There is another player on this exterior window. We saw an attempted run out last time from Sergeant Anxiety. Interested to see if we'll see the same here. Talked in the pregame just about how any player from MSU can affect this game, and seeing it here. Guac already at 4-1. 3 kills in the first round and a pivotal one here. Luckily for Louisville, though, there's not a ton the Brava does to this team comp, so you're not using a ton of utility. Down 1 in man count is going to be really difficult for taking that Cigar Lounge.
Yeah, it's pretty much going to be a 1-for-1 blow more often than not. So losing that player this early on does hurt that situation quite a bit. But with the intel that they're gathering at the moment completely undetected, might give them a better opening to push forward and maybe a little bit deeper without getting caught in a less than ideal scenario.
Some action going on in here. Standing is going to take down Steel yet again. Michigan State even up in the man count now as the castle falls. Forerunner pushing towards this Mira in the bathroom, and for the moment, doesn't look like there's anybody playing on it. Mr. Epic and Overlord both falling back to this main hallway, and Standing is going to keep that crossfire active. Monty pushing up. The defender going to have to do something here, but the pistol won't win it out. It's going to be Mr. Epic taking down Forerunner. The Monty gets aggressive, and now a massive tools off the board for Louisville.
Yeah, pushed down way too deep into Whitehall with 2 players guns up waiting for that. Not really sure what the opportunity was that was seen, but it wasn't really there. And now the damage is showing up, putting it down to a 2v4. Not a lot of options here. Big space lost already.
And that's your player on the window too. That is all your crossfire capability now down. Twitch is in the bar, but with the diffuser in the hallway, can't do anything with it. We'll get a kill onto Mr. Epic. It's gonna have to be a kills game. There's one on the white stairs. Fang pushing up. Fang doesn't see it though. Block pops out of nowhere on the C4. Will finish it off. Michigan State with a nice round, bringing us back to 1-1. And it's only 2 games in, but this is already shaping up to be an incredibly exciting first match.
Gotta admit, Louisville kind of fumbled that a little bit there. The push-up from both Jay Razor and Forerunner were pretty much unsupported there. You had Jay Razor, they knew there was someone first floor, evidenced by the run out from Oryx, but they didn't respect it. Pushed in blind and got burnt for it hardcore. They droned first floor. It's just a misread. If you drone first floor and there was a run out from there, where was he? If it's not VIP, it's not kitchen. Or I'm sorry, if it's not bakery, it's kitchen. And again, with that walk up from Monty, there was just too much attempted hero and kind of solo plays going on. I think Louisville just had to be a little bit closer there. Either way, MSU had no problem picking it up. You got one player trying to do their own thing that is asking for a tag team knockout. That's exactly what MSU brought that round.
Yeah, they really did. It was nicely played by MSU, and, you know, not even attempting to make the solo hero plays, but having it on a Monty. Monty is, I think, the lone shield op out of the four of them that you really kind of need somebody with. It's incredibly telegraphed whenever Monty's going to go for a challenge, because if you're not, you have your shield extended the entire time. The defense gets such a big heads up from that operator, and they were able to capitalize. Louisville now attacking this bottom floor. One operator I'm especially excited to see, the Ryora, being brought here. Such fun utility, and really the only site on this map where I think she can be used really, really effectively.
I would love to see what Gridlock will do as far as stalling out these roamers, because one of the reasons I think Vigil was kind of banned from MSU is that fear of that retaliatory walk-up, and now that opportunity to lock out roamers is going to be used against them, which is what I'm really interested to see, especially with the Brava in the mix, like you said. Having both in turn, if they can completely isolate them into first floor, that provides a lot of comfort that's often not afforded on this site take.
Mr. Epic making some pulls here to watch for the jump in. Smart play by the Legion, unfortunately, kind of reveals their location. Now with the Ryora here, going to be finding a little bit of difficulty with the crosshair onto Jay Razor. Only one player upstairs, and it is Mr. Epic. Sergeant Anxiety goes down to unknown angles. Going to be the Twitch drone. We got a Twitch drone kill. Finishing it up, West gonna get the credit for that one. Jay Razor is looking right at Mr. Epic through the wall, but just can't see him, obviously. Does not have the outlines that we do. Now the Legion backs into view, and the Legion should fall. Mr. Epic on 1 HP, standing with the kill. Jay Razor with another, and a 4v2 the opposite way this time. Louisville is pushing the problem.
Honestly, a great lockdown clear, and that's what I was talking about for the Brava and the Gridlock. The ability to box all of these roamers in with really no way out, especially the way they were holding those stairs. That created a really bad scenario for MSU. What do you do there? Do you go out into the open by Christmas, or do you risk pushing down the stairs and force a fight anyway? It was a far from ideal situation. They found that out the hard way, as now Overlord and Steel are going to have to try to fight this out to save and prevent a plant.
Ready to knock.
Plant going down now. One smoke grenade remaining. Gonna be used and gonna do some damage. Forerunner could have got the diffuser down, but pulled off at the last second. Jay Razor with a kill onto Steel, and Fang with one onto Overlord. So the defense will lose out yet again. Louisville taking their second round. It looks like they're gonna be able to re-attempt as well when we come back in. We saw Michigan State tried to defend that top floor twice, can only assume they're going to go kitchen again. As we get into the next round, though, what do you want to see different? I mean, different setup, win the gunfights. What was the problem that round for Michigan State?
Honestly, it's their roam. It's without a doubt their roam that round. It's kind of been off and on what's been going on with each of these teams. There's not really a definitive habit that I'm seeing. It's just been different sites and kind of getting used to the dynamics. But at least as far as MSU is concerned, they kind of boxed themselves in, and they didn't really have enough preparation for this new dynamic. It could be probably a lack of exposure, because when you're bringing Brava and Gridlock, your intentions are very much obvious, which is you want to box them in and create a very uncomfortable situation where no matter which way you go, you're going to be in an ugly fight. And those attacker crossfires can be lethal. The longer the distance, the worse it gets. Especially with those funnels, right? When you have that Brava towards that mining door, you're pretty much forcing to walk into the hallway down just to get through stairs. That's a lot of opportunity to force a gunfight through a cross, especially if you have someone anchored top red stairs, which is pretty much what you would expect. There's really no escape. So for MSU, they have to figure out what is the escape. Do they just lighten the roam, or do they try to tag team with maybe a little bit of a rock or jump out boys dynamic?
Explosive ready.
See what the response is here. Of course, Michigan State is going to reattempt this bottom floor. It looks like a fairly similar lineup as well. I'd love you to remind me, we didn't have a Goyo last round, did we? Or did I just completely miss it? Is Guap playing Goyo?
No, I don't think there was a Goyo if I remember correctly.
I was going to say, I would have remembered the fire.
10 seconds.
Or at least they didn't pop the cans.
5 seconds to
Yeah,
insertion.
no, there was. I just remembered there was a Goyle, but we're seeing that back again. And so now going into a replay of this site, we've still got Forerunner on the Monty, that same very dangerous Brava in gridlock combination. I really don't know what MSU was going to try to answer to deal with that, because that box-in mechanic certainly was a big impact maker, and I doubt that's going to change a whole lot, especially when they're already making that push. Bang gonna take major damage over by mining. Does keep the head on a swivel, but now low HP, gonna be forced to drop
Attackers
that
have recovered their
diffuser.
diffuser. Attackers dropped the
What a
diffuser.
swing there by Mr. Epic as Ryora gates closing, able to run across, find that damage when no one's expecting it. Of course, while it's still closing, if you run across, you're able to stall it just for a moment. Gonna be opening up those same holes, ready to see. With all these, I mean, Ryora's now blocked the doorway that he got killed from last time. So, attempting to kind of cordon off this Legion, but maybe extending their life accidentally.
I mean, that ironically could have been exactly what happened, but I mean, like I said, you look at these lineups that are available to them, I really don't think that's a very plausible theory, especially now you've got one player over by Christmas, putting that pressure onto Mr. Epic, down by Train, the box-in is beginning, I think a lot of bloodshed's about to come out soon, and there's the first one, J-Razor taking Mr. Epic, that's a big loss on the roam, as they're starting to establish second floor.
Yep, you said it best, big loss again. Now J-Razor, the only one upstairs with this super shorty as well, can cause some damage from the top floor. They had Guac, hoping to watch, but unfortunately just had to fall away, didn't have the right angle this time though. Now the Michigan State has more players, they can effectively defend this bakery push. Louisville does look like they're trying the same attacker strategy. Ryora making this prep room a lot safer before it's taken out by Guac, sitting in 6-2, looking for the 7th. 1 minute left to play. Louisville continuing to push into this bakery, just now starting to get those anchors out.
Reloading.
That is a lot of stacking towards Bakery. Louisville gets even a little bit of vertical there. That is going to be devastation for MSU. But so far, it doesn't look like they're really committing to that. Now with 42 seconds left on the clock and not the best utility to be able to capitalize on it. That stacking could potentially prove to be a major problem for Louisville unless they can get a pivot towards double doors, which right now, castles and the lack of positioning there, I don't think they're going to be going in that direction. We could easily see a turnaround for MSU to pick this round up unless Louisville finds a breakthrough, which at the moment they have nothing and are running out of time.
15 seconds to go. It's still in a 5v4 and the kills are about to start flying. Monty trying to push in, but the ace only just manages to get it open. No smoke grenades remaining, but you don't need him. Overlord with one Forerunner. Gonna get the response. Now Guac on the side takes down Standing. Diffuser going down. Can't find the head because J-Razor comes tearing around the corner. Sergeant Anxiety's down. Steel is the last player remaining and Louisville gets the case on the floor. The attacking team takes their third. And what a hectic win it was for Louisville.
Well, I mean, you just saw it, folks. That's how you use a shield right there. They were stuck on a very, very tough funnel. So, instead of pushing through small bakery, which would have been a death wish when you have a smoke shotty holding that corner for dear life and crossfires out the wazoo, so they pushed the breach. Was it a bloody push? Absolutely. A lot of casualties on Louisville. But the second they made a break-in, MSU felt pressured to rotate. And that's where the savior, J-Razor, was able to sweep that up, making sure nothing could go awry there. Again, that lockdown, it allows Louisville to rotate where they want, and it doesn't give MSU a lot of room to do it. And they made the right call. If they did that pivot towards Closet, that would have been a disaster. They didn't have the time for it. So using Forerunner, Monty, to push through that breach, perfect. Very well done, honestly. Great call.
Louisville proven to be a very impressive team on Cafe. And of course, remember, one of the maps that Michigan State has not played so far this season. And now might be seeing why they're struggling a little bit on the defense. Going back to the top floor, though, even though they lost this in round number 1, Michigan State didn't have a bad defense at all, just kind of got on the negative side and kills very, very quickly. So should theoretically be another round win here for the Spartans, but already picking up 3 attacking rounds on Cafe. Something that's really hard to do, so Louisville with a good half, even if these next 2 rounds go pretty convincingly, to MSU. Just have to wait to see what happens. Interested to see if they're going to put standing back on the windows. That was really their success factor round 1. They kind of crippled them back there in round 2.
What I do kind of find interesting from MSU is the pick to bring out Warden from Steel. I can't exactly say I have the best answer for why the use of such an operator. I didn't really feel there was any flash presence that was crippling enough to warrant it. I mean, it is another nitro on the board, but other than that, I just don't really see it. Because once Louisville gets that cigar control, it's gonna spiral out of control really fast, unless they can get the runouts and clear things out on the rappel, or stop cigar. And I don't think they're the best equipped to do that.
Perhaps not. Halfway through this round, Louisville is still trying to find some headway here. Mr. Epic downstairs, waiting to find. It looks like it was Jay Razor on the push in there, or it could be looking to rotate later. They don't have an Oryx this time. Guac is still on the first floor, so gonna have to come back up the stairways. Forerunner narrowly avoids getting decapitated by bullets before it gets answered back. Guac takes down Fang on that bottom floor. West with the kill onto Steel, though. So we remain even at 4-4, but now this Goyo has to rotate back up this staircase, and that's where Standing is waiting in the windows, going through the barricade. What a pre-fire from Guac, though. Jay Razor falls. How about that from the Goyo to push things back in MSU's favor?
Big critical pick, and that's kind of where not having that grid is starting to hurt Louisville. That was a big golden ticket for them, and since they were on third floor and they haven't really had to use it for this specifically, they kind of threw it away. But it looks like they might be trying to go for a dive plant situation here, which is risky. You still got a nitro on the board, and you've got Anxiety going for the push. Will be able to catch Monty, and looking to catch another towards the balcony. This is a dire situation that flipped on its head very quickly.
Louisville trying to make that quick plant and now might be paying for it. Forerunner falls from an exposed position. Now it's just West. 1 HP in a dream. Has a 417, so can dispatch these two defenders very quickly. That diffuser down though, they know exactly where this Twitch has to roll, and just 15 seconds is not going to be enough time to do it. Looking at Mr. Epic there in the back, the Sergeant Anxiety should be able to swing in, and indeed they do from Cigar. Michigan State take another convincing top floor defense. Now, if I'm the squad in green, I would not be going back to that first floor.
No, absolutely not. That was, from when we saw them play it did not go very well. And you're correct. They're not going kitchen. They're going to be going fireplace and reading, which I find that's a lot easier to lock out unless you lose vertical too soon. You kind of have to run it even further than the standard 130. But going back into the last round and really what kind of happened, they just collapsed on Piano big time. They needed to secure a more meaningful control, and they didn't have any pinching power. And that pretty much made all of that presence in Piano effectively worthless. But there's also the fact of trying to force plant that bar. Never been a big fan of it. It's way too risky, and it's often not done for a reason.
10 seconds to go.
And that's pretty much why. They didn't really have a line of sight anyway
5 seconds
to
remaining.
counter that walk-up, which was effectively free for MSU.
It was, and kind of confusingly too, right? That's kind of the like, maybe not desperation play, but that's something you do with not a lot of time left. They had 45 seconds, they had more than enough time to try to get one of the roamers, try to get some drones up, and whether it be Bathroom or Cigar, to kind of watch to see if that swing was coming, and just weren't able to do so. I mean, you saw from West Utility, threw out a drone with 10 seconds left easily, been put in place to help that plant go down, but just wasn't. That being said, I did like the adaptation from Louisville, not pushing that Monty up the hallway, instead, you know, trying to get the kills first and then push into sight. Obviously, did not work. But now, we're going to see how they attack this middle floor. MSU trying to make this an even split at 3-3. And we see our first Blackbeard of the game. Was wondering how long it would take before we see the Navy SEAL here.
Finally makes his way. But I think it's a necessary pick, especially with the Aurora on the board too. Having both of those means that they are funneling a dangerous situation. A shield with a rifle and a Brava to line up those picks for him. A really strong combination to be utilized by Louisville, though that does hinge on them taking this third floor control. Otherwise, I think that combo is going to be kind of time extensive for establishing those setups, you might not really do them all that well. Though, Forerunner going to be able to take massive space onto Piano, able to push that up. Now looking to take the one over at Bathroom. He's reinforcing, but the bait and switch as Anxiety will be quick to the whip on Whitehall.
Good first kill from Sergeant Anxiety as Wes gets his answer back onto Steel. Prox alarm's going off, and the Goyo is not wearing his headphones this game. Neither's Anxiety. Jay Razor walks up and kills 2. All the sound cues they would want, and they just can't find it. Make it a third, as he's going to be fed by Overlord as well. Mr. Epic, the last player remaining and left out of sight. Fang with that diffuser just has to get through this hallway, and it is effectively round over for MSU. And how about the player to watch? Jay Razor turning it on when they need it the most.
Louisville. Oh, Louisville. They punished the Legion so hard on MSU. The lack of Legion, I should say. Every single round, that was a near universal constant, was bringing forth the Legion. But the one time they don't, Louisville spots that and punished it extensively. And this was a natural consequence. You had 2 to 3 players stacked towards Whitehall. 2 Whitehall bathroom, 1 cocktail.
Defenders, protect your bombs from
It pretty much makes for the ideal scenario to do a walk-up like that. Especially when, keep in mind, you're going fireplace, or I'm sorry, you're going reading. You're not going to have as much utility invested on watching those stairs as you would if it was, you know, train dining. That was a perfect read from Louisville with devastating consequences, putting them to 4-2.
And you gotta think too, MSU just had to read it wrong, right? Probably thinking, oh, they just hit the prox alarm. There's no way they're walking up, right? They're gonna walk back, they're gonna shoot it, then we have to be careful. But Jay Razor just plowing right on through, manages to get the kills. And interestingly here, Louisville gonna go for this kitchen defense first, not up to the cigar. See how this choice plays out for the defending team. But they do have a sizable advantage. Now they only need 3 defensive rounds to get this map 1 victory. And on Cafe, that's definitely an easier feat than some other maps.
It is certainly within the grasp. Though, I have to say I'm very happy to see Jay Razor run in the Mozzie. That's one of my mains, wink wink. But I mean, to be fair, unfortunately for Louisville, it's not gonna really do them all that much. You don't have Brava, you don't have Twitch, who's kind of the prime target for Mozzie to try to catch that type of utility. But by trying to dodge the Mozzie, that means Mira is gonna be full in play. There is nothing to shoot those out. We saw that happen quite a lot on MSU's defense, but I don't think Louisville will really have much of a problem with that, which makes the stall on 3rd floor that much more problematic.
Wes now in trouble here. Mr. Epic making a little bit entrance through that wall, using the skeleton key shotgun to open it up. Flash grenade as well. Now how about this same staircase? Jay Razor cannot be stopped on the white stairs. Guac with a kill. Don't worry, it's not the wall bang. Just off on Wes. Won't find anything. But now evened up at 4-4. Guac gonna come onto Jay Razor and get the kill. There's another one right on the stairs, and he's ready for it with a shot onto West. How about that? What an answer by Michigan State as Guac trying to be the hero here in round 7.
Overplayed the hand big time. If any time was the opportunity to fall off, it was there at 1 minute and 33.
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
But they wanted to linger, and I can see why. They had major success in holding off 3rd floor, but now with a minute and 10 seconds, and you just gave the 2nd floor control back to MSU, and with 2 players remaining, this is a lethal scenario to be in. Oh, still have 2 nitros in hand. There's a lot of counterplay opportunities here. It's either way a scary gambit. And here's the first one. Nitro going out. Doesn't even connect or go for any kind of kill.
What a shot from Steel onto the C4, stopping it mid-toss. Standing now. I believe Steel should have the C4. Of course, Forerunner without it. About to put down a charge fairly late. That EMP might run out. But it looks like the freezer is going to be opened up. No, it isn't. It ran out. They have to rotate.
And that might
That's
actually
a
be
big
their
miss.
saving grace here.
And look, the wall isn't fully destroyed either. The Monty can't get through. Does Guac have a drone left? I don't know if he does. Mr. Epic falls, standing and Forerunner, both with one. Look at standing all the way on second floor. C4 out, won't find anything. They are both back on this bottom floor.
10 seconds left.
So little health on Guac, but it doesn't matter. Clicking heads like nobody's business.
5 seconds
Diffuser going down here from Overlord. Now Monty can just extend on top of it. 2v1 for MSU. The bomb planted as well. Standing is gonna have to be laser precise with this next stream of bullets if they want any chance of finding this one. Walks inside a freezer, not gonna overplay the hand, just rely on the calls from Overlord, who's standing in the way. No C4 left in the mirror, so no chance to get his shield. Just gonna be blocking the doorway. Guac's gonna be ready with the shot, and Guac will not get it done. Standing with the kill, but only 20 seconds. That is not enough time unless Monty makes a mistake. Overlord doesn't have to drop just yet, and the Mira is following him out. The Mira is not going to have enough time. Timer ticking down, 7 seconds right around the corner. This round will go to Michigan State as they even things back up 3-4 for the Spartans.
Oh, such a good try from Louisville. I mean, really good try. They gave too many numbers to MSU. The follow-up on second floor was honestly their saving grace there, by and far. Being ready to punish on third floor, because they were fully committed on that. There was a pretty big gap between third floor roaming and coming back onto first floor. They didn't really stagger it. They didn't try to fall back. They pretty much fully held it until right on the 130 mark. You have to be careful on the fallback at that point, because you kind of have to expect that there's going to be someone attempting to cut you off, especially when you take one. You know, try to even the numbers back. But to take two like that, giving away the vertical, that was really setting up for a potential failure, because this is one of those sites where if you don't have vertical yet, you can pretty much take it in basically 5 seconds flat. Jump the balcony,
Camera feed up and running.
and boom, you got second floor, just like that. That's why the open concept of this map kind of makes it a little bit trickier on the roam if you get a bit overzealous there, like we saw from Louisville.
Yeah, it's such a big map too that really anything can happen on the roam. You gotta be so careful on both offense and defense, and it's what really makes a roam game on this map unique, right? Because on most maps, it's either pretty suited to the attack or it's pretty suited to the offense if it's easier to clear out. Cafe is an exceptionally fair off-site map. It's really difficult for both teams to be too secure. Interesting pick here, Zero going to be taken by Guac. We have a Ying as well on his top floor, so they could be looking for a little bit of a skylight leap, you know, try to do things quickly here. And the defensive comp, wildly different from what we saw from MSU. It's going to be Valkyrie, Echo, Fenrir. The IQ on the side of MSU should help to counter all of that utility.
Yeah, that operator switch onto IQ is going to hurt a lot for how much that they have available. Every piece of utility that Mr. Epic catches here is a big detriment to Louisville's composition here. Because, I mean, like you said, she can destroy everything that they brought to the table. That's the consequences of, you know, over-committing on electrical utility. Mr. Epic already has clear eyes on J-Razor 2, thinking they have a bit of an edge, but no, not at all. Goes for the run out, not gonna find anybody, but West does take Guac down.
First kill rolling through for Michigan State, or rather the other side. No, yeah, Michigan State. Then respawned by Louisville. My apologies. Low health bar on Fang so far, so maybe temporarily advantage on the side of MSU. Forerunner has to be careful here. Ironside's MP7 not going to win out today. Surge Anxiety with the kill onto the new balcony, and with so much time left, taken out by West C4. But now the stage is set, and the diffuser is planted. Ying getting it through the skylight. That's what we were knowing we had to be careful of. Standing won't be able to get the kill. Instead, Fang team kills and then grabs Mr. Epic. So we're back to a 2v2. C4 in hand for Fang. Not going to find anything, or rather does find one, finds Overlord. So now it's only going to be steal here for Michigan State. It is directly underneath this skylight. Does he have a fire left? If so, can stop this diffuse, and Standing knows it. They only have a couple seconds though, just under 6 to get on this diffuser. Standing from the top is going to try to take it out. No fire left. He's going to have to jump down the skylight and get the kill. Can he do it? Yes, he can. What a shot from Steel. The time doesn't matter. Fang doesn't have anything left. Beautiful play by the Capital.
Wow, what a million IQ post-plant play from MSU. I love to see it. That was easily a textbook example of how you use Capital. By the way, or not use Capital, but you know, how you play that situation, how you counter that. But then again, Capital 2, right, having that threat of that firebolt
protect your bombs from being
stalled
defused
them
by
out
attackers.
so hard. But once they started at Diffuser, especially
Attackers
from
have
that propped
located a
up
bomb.
position, it likely wouldn't have been able to burn and kill. So you go for that vault, take out Diffuser. It's all a mind game. And all of the weight was in favor of Capital. And now we're back to 4-4. Pretty much MSU set themselves up for success. And how could they not for a strong post plan? They had all of the information on what Louisville was doing. All of that electrical utility painted a very clear picture of what was going on. And for that, I would say Mr. Epic, especially picking up 2 that round, was a star player there. All that information, taking 2 valuable players down, pretty much gave Louisville a crystal clear picture of what the execute was going to be, and they did it with minimal hassle.
They really did, and I mean, the timing too element, right? You know if you jump down that skylight with 7 seconds, even if the planter gets off and kills you, they're not gonna have enough time to re-defuse the bomb. They have to stick it, pinning it all on Fang there to watch so many angles. Probably knew it was coming from the skylight, but still gotta be vigilant. Definitely a good move. The mute might be cut out. C4 out, won't do anything, but no, they walk into it. Miscommunication from MSU as Guac runs straight into the Nitro Cell. Mr. Epic picks up J-Razor, so a big kill. Both top fraggers off the board now, and the class is in. Curious gameplay, standing still in a lot of trouble here on the corner. Steel taken out by Forerunner though, and the Monty will get the kill. How about that? Sergeant Anxiety's fire will confirm it, and Sergeant Anxiety now with the Para. This is a quick round, 1 minute in, and the Diffuser is going to get planted. Both of the defenders are upstairs.
And they have no line of sight on vertical either. If you're gonna keep numbers like those, you have to be ready for that, especially with the fast push.
Attackers
But they
activating
didn't.
Diffuser.
Now Diffuser's down. You still have a shield player. Looks like one's gonna be staggered and back above, but this is pretty much a disaster for for Louisville, and perfect force from MSU.
The Diffuser in a spot where they're going to have to approach his breach. C4 out, but there's nobody left in the kitchen. Gonna blow it just in case. Mr. Epic in the small bakery means they're not going to be able to wrap around as long as he gets a shot. Fang and Wesso just going to push in through the bomb site. 8 seconds to get on with the fire. That is not going to happen. Sergeant Anxiety with the second of the round, and Mr. Epic to clean it off. Michigan State back on top, on attack, on their least played map. MSU is rolling.
Yeah, and I mean, they just took the lead right back. And the thing that I am loving on how MSU is running this, it's their intel game. They know everything that Louisville is doing. And the way they capitalize on it is so good. And I'd love to see a little bit more of
Defenders, protect your
what they're
bombs from
doing in
being
the prep
defused by
phase with their
attackers.
drone work. Because it's giving them everything they need every single time to have a jump start on Louisville. And even mid-rounds, the way that they go about droning, Louisville just always seems
Attackers
to be
have located
right
a
where
bomb.
MSU knows they will be, off of that superior intel gathering. And it just seems like Louisville doesn't have really the means to try to mitigate that capitalization.
Yeah, Louisville has been struggling on defense, right? And I was concerned for Michigan State when they only got 2 defensive rounds. 4 attacking rounds is pretty unheard of on Cafe, but 3 in a row here from MSU. They're definitely setting themselves up nicely as we get into kind of the latter half of this game. Round number 10. Of course, Michigan State can put themselves on a match point if they continue with the way these attacks have been going. Pretty spread out between second floor and the top floor here. Is there 3 on the second floor from Louisville? With the bomb at the top, if I'm MSU, if they've noticed this at all, just rush plant. It worked out last round. The people off site weren't able to stop it. There's only 2 upstairs. You have a Ying. You can literally just hop in the skylight and plant. Unluckily though, I don't think they're going to see this in time for these defenders to rotate back up.
Yeah, and MSU is feeling so confident. I don't know if you saw that message in all chat, but them calling out J-Razor wanting to do that Christmas run out, that's exactly what I I'm talking about. They
Uh-oh.
always know.
Uh-oh.
They always know. Guac catching J-Razor, trying to go for that garage run out. They're just reading a book, and it is laid out open. 3 drones down, and look how much information they have thanks to Mr. Epic. It really is a knowledge game, and MSU has all the cards out in the open, and they've got an ace and a jack, calling the blackjack.
And now with no kind of nade denial here, no Amai, no Jaeger, Mr. Epic should be able to take down that deployable shield inside a cigar. Missed with the first nade. Now downstairs, Fang looking for a C4. It looks like they're not going to get it though. Sergeant Anxiety with the kill onto Standing. Second C4 out, this time from West again, finds nothing. No C4s. Echo is dead. You are losing everything on the side of Louisville. And Michigan State is just pushing in. Sergeant Anxiety's on the balcony. The rest are on the roof. They are going to look for this skylight plant again. Have a Fenrir mine on it, so the timing will be known from the defenders. Forerunner hits the dirt overlord, looking for this kill. There is still a minute left here for Louisville, and the kills just keep rolling through. Guac with the nade onto Forerunner. West will get the return kill. Fang off site. Diffuser going down, and Michigan State are about to take their 6th round.
Attackers activating. Attackers need to
Runs
protect
right
the
into that
diffuser.
crossfire. It's almost looking over without actually saying it's over. 1 and 3 gets cleared, and Freezer. I mean, yeah, there's really not a lot you can do if you're Louisville. If you're running a mute, investing all that to try to stop MSU from completely picking apart your site and still being unsuccessful, I don't know what to tell you. And the question I have at this point is, where's the Solus? I mean, you're getting slammed on intel. You might as well just directly go at it. You know what I mean? Especially if you want to try to keep up the roaming like Louisville has attempted, especially with the runouts time after time again from
Defenders,
J-Razor.
protect your bombs
You
from
really
being
don't
defused
have
by
much
attackers.
of a choice. Either that or hunker down, which is kind of not an option on Cafe, if you ask me.
Bomb located by attackers.
Yeah, you know, maybe if you're like in a silver rank game or something, or you're playing people that don't play as competitively as these guys do, the hunker down's an option. But certainly not. When they're this good, when they know how to use vertical, when they know how to clear the map, definitely not something you can do. Michigan State on a match point here in round number 11. Louisville, have to take this opportunity to remind, it's still a defender-sided map. It is entirely possible, maybe even probable, that Louisville wins these next 2 defending rounds. But Michigan State is on a roll right now. Steel just survived their first round, which you saw them being pretty happy about. So we'll see what happens here. If they can take just one more, they will get their first map victory. And as you were talking about in the pregame, it is going to be a big momentum swing if they can get it going into Nighthaven Labs next.
I mean, like I said before, MSU takes map 1, they're likely going to win this out 2-0. And the fact that they're going on pretty much their golden ticket at this rate, Louisville's in a lot of trouble here. They have to try to, step this up somehow. Though I do like this composition they're having, right? West and J-Razor, presumably on the roam. Lot of intel, but also some good hunkering down in mix. I think this is probably going to help them as well, or help them to at least stay alive for a bit longer, as long as they don't try to pivot too early from their angles.
1 minute down so far. Nobody on the side of Michigan State is in the building. They're holding this fairly aggressively on the top floor. J-Razor keeping an eye on the skylight. Gonna take down drones, so 2 down for Michigan State. In a tough position. This is Valkyrie. Now with Damos targeting, gonna have to fall off a little bit, and does just that. On the cafe rooftop, though, Damos trying to get some shots across. Question is, how thoroughly have they droned this? They know now that J-Razor has fled, but West is still here. And it looks like they're gonna move away from the skylight for the time being, so the castle won't be able to find any use just yet.
And the patience here from Louisville is so big right now. 4 drones down, and MSU doesn't really have a lot to capitalize on at the moment, other than the fact that you got West over on balcony. They still do have that active ping, so expect the hunt to come through very soon, unless West is able to drop through and make it all the way to library, and no one is there to try to follow up on it. You do have Block, who's down on the star, down by hallway, but it's still going to be a little bit dicey to try to take this all alone.
Flashbang out.
J-Razor again falls near the garage, going to be taken down on the white stairs. Still one player outside is going to be Steel in that back alley, and West somehow continues to evade harm, but not for much longer. The Buck is inside the closet, sees the gun, no, does get the kill. No, they don't, just the down block is able to find West for their 17th kill of the match. Mr. Epic stays alive, 5-on-3 favoring Michigan State, 30 seconds to play. Louisville is on the edge. Their map pick, their momentum is quickly falling apart. Just 20 seconds zone, Michigan State is yet to get in the objective. Mr. Epic going to be an important member to watch this plan. Is this going to be Overlord trying it from the freezer? Still looking to get in because there's still a player outside the freezer. It's going to be Fang with the shotgun. 8 seconds to go. This can one-shot Overlord. Rockets gets another understanding. It's just Fang and Forerunner. Diffuser going down. They won't see it. And the diffuser is planted. MSU wins map 1. Michigan State take your first map.
Yeah, and with a flawless round nonetheless. Louisville almost. Qua clearly the MVP, absolutely deserving that. But I mean, it was there, right? The way that they slowed down MSU, taking drones, backing off, the staggering, right? That was exactly what needed to happen. They were this close to easily winning that round, but Jay Razor and West, they couldn't help themselves, right? Jay Razor tried to force one again, got deleted off the face of the earth, and then we saw West also get sniped off after trying to take the fight onto Laundry. MSU was pretty much doing exactly what Louisville wasn't doing in the later of the first half, which was playing close together and not trying to take solo ones. We did see a good amount of that when Jay Razor was attacking, even getting punished for it quite a bit towards Bar on that entry and on several other points during the first half. But especially here, you know, trying to go for that, it doesn't work. MSU played that slow, even to take third floor. The fact that they were able to get away as far as they did and not lose anybody other than Jay Razor, who tried to force a one, they were doing so well. That kind of strategy could have worked, but they didn't realize it, or at least if they tried to, it was too late. MSU to secure map 1. So I do have to ask, do you think any of this is going to carry over into map 2, Fisher, or do you think we're going to see a full-blown reset? In any case, I would say MSU still has an edge going into map 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'll ignore the momentum just for a second, but when we're looking at Nighthaven Labs in particular, right? It's MSU's most played map, and especially last week, don't know how many people were watching, caught the semifinal last week. MSU looked freaking unbelievable on Nighthaven Labs. They looked really good. They knew how to attack. They knew how to defend. So if I'm Louisville, luckily, there's a lot of recent film going into this, you know. You've already played this squad. You know the tendencies. You know what's going to happen on this map. That being said, I don't know if they're going to be ready for it. We didn't see a whole ton of adaptation from the squad in map number 1. It's going to be an uphill battle. I think the Louisville team is incredible. They have what it takes to move this back, put us into that game 3. But there's just too much going for Michigan State right now.
Oh yeah, they're on an absolute tear. And we'll see how much farther that tear continues as we move on to map 2. But before that, as per usual, we're going to go on a quick break. So we'll be right back for you guys to debate how this next map is going to go. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm going to leave it for y'all to think this one through because I don't have an answer for you. I have some suspicions, not a solid answer. So we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Midwest R6 Grand Finals between Louisville and Michigan State. For anybody just joining us, Michigan State in a shock upset, taking round one. Now moving on to their map. Their pick, Night Haven Labs, is up next. Once again, Kingfisher joined here by Piercing. Gonna throw it right to the map recap for last one. And Piercing, walk us back through for anyone just tuning in. What happened to Louisville? Was it a fall apart? Is it MSU capitalizing? What are we expecting here going into game two?
Honestly, MSU just looked a lot more convincing there. I don't really think Louisville played particularly bad at all. I'm not going to say that at all because that wouldn't be fair. Michigan State University just had the superior intel matrix, and they were playing closer together as a team. Not to mention, they always had a way to punch out Louisville on their roam and come out on top. Their cutoffs, their crossfires, their whole composition was banking around catching roamers, and they did it with finesse. And the numbers show Guac at 19 and 9. Everyone else, pretty close numbers, about 1.0, 5.7, 9.6, and 5.7 and 5.9. So, I mean, we're not talking deeply negative. This wasn't a one-man show. Everyone played their roles. It just so happened Anxiety and Guac were the ones getting the exchanges and sealing the deal. Though you still had some strides from Louisville. Like I said, this was not a blowout by any means. Jay Razor at 10 and 7 tried to be bold, but got caught one too many times for the team to sustain it. With West at 11 and 10, also trying to get jumpy, but died a little bit more in turn. With Fang at 6 and 7, a more modest KD. So all around, not very dramatic, other than Guac at 19 and 9 as kind of the cleanup crew. So, I mean, really, it was unexpected. In the first half, we saw that, Louisville, they had a very convincing lead at 4 and 2. But, man, once MSU had the turn to attack, whole different story. Both were really good at attacking, struggling on a defense. But MSU, when they get an AR in their hand, it's over.
It was an impressive game one from Michigan State, and especially seeing the players that stepped up. Going into this, we were looking at Mr. Epic, right? But it's Sergeant Anxiety, it's Guac that are making massive strides there in game number one. Speaking of, gonna have a player to watch just around the corner. Of course, map two is Night Haven Labs. And we're gonna be looking at Guac, the man of the hour on Night Haven Labs, specifically 53 rating, 1.46 KD, a little bit under 1 kills per round, but a nice survivability rating of 36. So pretty similar to the stats we saw when we were looking back before game one on the side of Mr. Epic. Just another testament to how closely matched all these players are. That synergy is popping off. And Louisville is going to have to do a lot to stop it. Of course, remembering last week, MSU, incredible showing on this map. And we talked about the roam game a lot, right? Mr. Epic in particular was a nightmare on defense. I mean, the attack could not clear him out quick enough, really flexing their muscles, and certainly looking for something similar here in game number two.
And I think this is going to be a much easier map. Yes, it's even more open space for the roam, but as far as anchoring goes, I think this is a much stronger site to do it, with some notable exceptions like basement first floor, where if you're not keeping numbers up, it can get really messy. But Louisville does have a fighting chance here as far as, trying to not get caught by MSU. The roam will be a little bit tougher to deal with here, but as far as just how much space there is to play around, but I think the dynamics are very clear here, which is that Michigan State University just has to push hard and not let these roamers get a chance to do anything, because West and Jay Razor can really put the burn down, and UFL of Louisville just needs to slow it down. They just have to be more tame in their fallback onto site.
We're gonna see if they'll be able to do that. Dokubi gonna be the ban once again here on Attack. Maverick taking out this time. Maverick certainly not an operator that gets banned on every map, but I think this one in Clubhouse, kind of two particular maps that we do see Maverick banned on quite a little bit. Just makes opening those walls, makes so many kill holes for the attackers that the defenders in Louisville do not want to contend with it. But you'll band again for Michigan State, so it could be comfort for them or a comfort pick on the side of Louisville. But either way, consistency key here for Michigan State University. And Louisville with less ban gonna take out the Azami yet again. So it's Maverick instead of Blitz, but very similar look to last game.
Pretty much the same bans from before, minus the Maverick. But I think we're going to see a little bit of a hurt on MSU's attack here. I understand why they're getting rid of Vigil. If you had West or J Razor running that, yeah, that Cafe could have potentially been a wholly different map. But here,
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
it is still very strong. There are more options to navigate, but I really do think for MSU to maintain the same veracity on their attack like they did last map, they kind of needed something else to be ridden of, and that something else
Bomb
is
located
Tuber,
by
whose
attackers.
standing is currently running. I don't know how much of an impact that's going to have here. I'm so curious to see what that will be, as especially for this side, it's going to be execute heavy, but I'm pretty confident it will prove to be a problem for them, unless they just try to outright run
10
it down,
seconds remaining.
but the composition doesn't really follow that.
5 seconds to insertion.
Not exactly, and we'll see just what way momentum's leaning here after round one. Of course, remember, back in map number one, Louisville unable to pick up a defensive round. We'll see if the tides have changed this time. Oh my gosh,
Get out!
what a way to start it! Opening kill seconds in. You don't see that very often.
Holy crap, Louisville! Chat, we didn't script this. I swear we didn't script this. This is real. This has happened. Standing is down. We were talking about Tuberau on Louisville possibly being a problem for MSU, but now it's not an issue whatsoever. Other than West to try to bandit trick, these walls are pretty much going to be a gimme here. And those first two walls go without a hitch. You do have the bandit tricking. Now, MSU's probably going to have to get someone from below to try to contest it. You got J Razor covering the window, preventing West from getting taken out here. Does stand a lot of damage, but regardless, displacement will be enough. Wall going to be open. This is already a very interesting situation, along with anxiety going down very early on, but not aware of the IT wall, though. Prepped up from that position.
A little surprising again. I mean, the wall was loud. Foreigner never looked like they knew the wall was open, dancing in front of that doorway for about 10 seconds. Does get a kill though, as Sergeant Anxiety falls, or rather helps with the kill. J Razor was the one who got credit. But now in a little bit of trouble, obviously. Died some advantage back in the hands of MSU. Maybe not for long. J Razor underneath is just waiting for an opportunity to use that C4. Ace opening up this site wall can make things very difficult on the two remaining anchors, who Fang nearly takes out another teammate on the side of Louisville. Not going to happen. Drone spots J Razor, who's going to creep back up the CC stairs. So all the Louisville defenders should be locked into sight, but this Pulse is continuing to gamble here. Might be looking for a late game storage rotation. 1 minute remaining for Michigan State to make the rest of their attack. Oh no, does Guac see it? Oh no.
Big pick coming in from J Razor to take Guac down from below. That's a lot of pressure relief that was sorely needed on the side of Louisville. Now gonna put MSU pretty much forced onto the full horizontal here, but you still have J Razor and Fang below. This is gonna put a bit of a bind as they're locked out thanks to Steel taking J Razor down. Now 2 and 3, and there's still one offside, at least from what we can tell below. That's gonna be Fang leaving West all alone. All it takes is one pick and it's all over. Here's the walk up and oh, devastation comes for MSU, taking Steel and Mr. Epic, leaving Overlord the last remaining.
What a play from the Valkyrie. The dagger right when MSU don't need it. 10 seconds to go. Diffuser is across the site, so we'll have to run all the way across. C4 is in hand from Fang as well, so the first round will go to Louisville. Just a matter of time, and the time is running out. Overlord looks to save the KD and will do so, but that's around. Louisville end their scoreless streak here on defense at 5. Good round from the defense.
Yeah, Louisville recovered that extremely well, and that vertical from them was so important. It helped to stall the IT wall to provide cover to continue trying to trick that. It also prevented the Buck from flushing outside sight from below, allowing for a flood onto site. Excuse
Attackers
me.
need to locate and
Golly golly.
defuse bomb.
But the walk up 2, MSU just simply miscounted their numbers. They knew there was one below, but it seems that they expected the other to have already been on site. It could have been due to mute jamming. That could have been what happened, but either way, the intel there wasn't as strong. Otherwise, that would have been a decisive win for them. But Bang being able to walk up like that saved them. That first round, or that first floor presence, is exactly why, as a defender, you want to hold that position. And the pulse, calling out the rotations, allowing UFL to
5 seconds
match
remaining.
MSU's presence, not allowing them that walk-in opportunity that they tried to pull as successfully did prior on Cafe.
Kind of interesting too, right? We saw such good roam clear, like great job isolating the defenders on Cafe, and they just kind of let the pulse go. I mean, there was even a buck on the first floor that was never looking for the pulse, died looking the opposite way. Kind of a stark turnaround from what was the strong point, I would argue, from MSU in the last game. Hopefully, for the sake of Michigan State, they can get that cleared up quick. This is another interesting bomb site on this map, played very heavily from up top. Only a handful of defenders needed down low. Of course, if they can keep that wall closed, makes this site very, very easy to defend with only a couple. Blitzbeam brought up again, didn't really see a good use last round from Sergeant Anxiety. Obviously, this time, hoping it is much, much better. A lot more useful, too. They're going to have to work to clear out these players with a Scopos as well. Such an interesting operator.
I do grow a little bit worried about the fact that they're trying to go for this second floor push, but they don't really have anything to deal with standing whatsoever. And with the shotgun available to try to watch for vertical here, I think this is going to possibly be a big backfire. Yes, this is where the bulk of the presence is, but if standing nails that timing correctly, and MSU doesn't at least send one person to check that power, I think we could see a disaster in the making for the roam clear. And look at that, minute 30 seconds, 6 drones down. Not a good look for MSU.
No, it isn't. J-Razor creeping closer and closer to an angle to get themselves a kill here. Moving into EXO goes Blitz, Sergeant Anxiety holding the case as well. And now not holding the case because Forerunner hit the C4. How about that? Louisville keeps on swinging. A good use of utility there from Forerunner. Now this is what's going to be dangerous. J-Razor from behind. Is the flank going to work again for this Louisville squad? Not just yet as a kill rolls through from EXO. Just like that, Michigan State have site control. Nobody from Louisville is looking into the bomb site. They're going to get the diffuser down. J-Razor falls to Overlord. Michigan State out of nowhere just clean up this site, and they're going to clean up the round along with it. Kills rolling through. Guac gets one, and Overlord falls. Be a 2-on-1 in favor of the defense. Look at the position, though. One's outside the wall, one is clear up on a roof, looking through this angle. This is dirty from the attack, and Standing knows there's not a ton of chances at it. Gonna go through the spray, through the floor, but instead gonna have to hit the player outside of the wall. 18 seconds, not enough time. The shots come through, and the shots ring true. Seal with the final kill from the exterior, and beautiful execution from Michigan State.
MSU just relieved a lot of anxiety for me there because I saw the way they were pushing. I'm like, there's no way they're going to full send this first floor when you got someone all the way up in third floor. And they made pretty much the perfect answer, which is that, no, that's not what they're doing at all. And that walk down through EXO stairs
Attackers need to locate and
did them
defuse bombs.
wonders. Louisville way overcommitted, way overheated on the roam. There was virtually no presence on site whatsoever, and their composition didn't even help to slow things down either. They pretty much had to rely on keeping an eye on site, but when you have Sergeant Anxiety on the blitz, that makes it really hard to provide overwatch for that with the veracity that they brought once they were able to secure EXO stairs. It's not a whole lot you can kind of do, especially when you've got lockout utility holding you back too from falling back on site. MSU played the card perfectly. Lost a lot of intel to do it, which is where I got nervous. Good on Louisville to catch out so much. They left the gap. Big time.
Looks like Louisville going to go for a similar defense here, seeing the same holes in the floors, and once again the Bandit going to be playing that exterior wall. See if it works out this time around. A couple of different operators, though. J-Razor going to be going over to the Legion this time instead of the Scopos. Speaking about different operators, look at the attack here. They have a Glaz, they have a Ying. They are not doing the same thing twice. They're looking to bust right through that wall and make it impossible for the defense to stop them. Nice drone placement as well from Guak, going to give a lot of intel away. Louisville are going to be more wary this time, but it looks like Michigan State's just going to try to brute force their way into sight.
I mean, they can pretty much get away with it at this point. Again, they don't really have to put a whole lot of pressure onto first floor as long as they don't give away their key indicators, right? Guak is a big one. I would say Overlord is a big one. As long as they don't give it away and create this perception that they're going to push first floor, which so far they're doing a pretty good job with that walk-in coming in from Sergeant Anxiety, but disaster strikes. Guak is down. That's Glaz, and I'm sure Louisville has spotted that. 5 drones down. They're going to be looking to hunker down around site now that they know what kind of composition MSU has brought forth.
Kills keep rolling as well, standing able to take out Mr. Epic. Sergeant Anxiety falls to West, and just like that, Michigan State locked into 2v5. Not a ton they can do from here. They have a Thermite, but no EMPs on the side of Ying, so it's going to have to be all gunplay all the way for Michigan State to take this round. Louisville doing a much better job getting these entry kills, or I guess counter-entry kills, considering they are the defense. J-Razor standing in West, still upstairs as well, so it's going to be difficult for these attackers to make entry. Overlord's going to try prepping the Candelas. Steal around the side, can try something. Nobody's up on the second floor. Of course, not sure of that just yet. 1 minute to play, though. MSU's got to kick it into gear real quick if they want to take this round back.
Fast rotations are pretty much all that's going to be the saving grace here. And you catch that IT wall and take West down. As long as Louisville doesn't sell this and play way too aggressive here, with 39 seconds left on the clock, there's not a lot they could do here. And there's so much they have to clear with only 1 drone on the board. They're going to be in the blind. No point in trying to go head-to-head. Let them walk into you. Just like that. Overlord going to be taking a bit of champ damage. 23 seconds on the clock. Louisville is a bit splintered here.
Attackers
All
have recovered their
it takes
diffuser.
is just some bad timing, and things could flip
15
for the
seconds.
worse. 15 seconds remaining. J-Razor going down. Looks like there
10
could be a
seconds remaining.
possibility
The
here.
attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped.
Oh,
5 seconds
But yeah,
left.
the 6-man will come into play. The time is not enough, and Michigan State will fall for the second time here over 3 rounds. Louisville with another nice defense. Now going to get to move back upstairs to Michigan State. You know, they're still showing some progress, but Louisville clearly is not looking to be outdone. I know we were concerned about, you know, whatever you want to call it, right? The vibes, the momentum, the mental state. Clearly not affecting this defending squad. Louisville putting up 2 very strong defensive rounds. Going back upstairs where they were so convincing the first time. Hard to imagine Michigan State will be able to steal this one away.
Protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
they're still in it. They're not, I mean, they're not out by any means. That was a really good showing. And the thing that's important here, that's a big adaptation coming around from MSU, or I'm sorry, coming in from Louisville, is one, they're hunting drones. Like right there, we just saw with Stanley taking out that drone. They're not letting them get this crucial information, which is causing mystery. They thought they had a clean walk-in last round. They absolutely
10 seconds
did
left.
not. They doubled down on watching, having their line of sights towards the execution, the force walk-in,
Attackers
and they
objective is to
took the
locate a bomb
telltale
and
signs. They
defuse it.
killed Guak and knew that this was looking like a force, so they made the adjustment to ensure that could never happen. And indeed, they got the outcome they were looking for. If you're gonna full send roam like this, that's how you want to do it. You want to try to gather as much information in the early rounds. Take that early momentum.
J-Razor's playing a dangerous game, and the game is gonna pay off. Blackbeard falls, Sergeant Anxiety down. No calls on the Frost, no drones, no knowledge, no chance at staying alive. Louisville will strike first yet again. J-Razor with 4 kills, making up for lost time last game and losing your shield operator early. Granted, I don't think the shields have exactly been doing a ton this game for Michigan State, but it's a big loss. Always has the potential to really change these rounds in a big way. Best diffuser down as well, so somebody's going to have to run all the way around the building and get it, because all the attackers are on the opposite side.
No way to refrag or capitalize on that, giving for Louisville a clean getaway here. And it's also had a clear ripple effect. MSU hasn't even so much as touched the outside perimeters of site. Pressure like that kind of environment, Louisville thrives off of it. If they can create that slowdown, which MSU has been hammering Louisville down on, man, they're going to be able to make bold plays like that, and J-Razor will be able to pull off what he does best.
Just under a minute and a half left to play here for Michigan State to try to find their way back into this game. Don't want to go down 3-1. J-Razor looks like they will go ahead and rejoin the rest of the squad on site. Attacking out with good ground into connector. The problem is the Bandit and the Kaid on the other side are going to be making this, or going to make opening this wall open so difficult, and the C4s will do so as well. Overlord takes some damage, and Steel will hit the deck. Hard to see who it was standing C4 going to be shot before they can detonate it, and they'll pay the price. Guac with one, Guac with two! The Buck is firing on all cylinders. Forerunner and standing fall, and just like that, the man count shifts back over to MSU. J-Razor on an extremely important angle here. See all the attackers stacked up. 40 seconds left. Fang gonna rotate. Believe they still have a C4 in pocket as well, so this could be a massive stack kill for this Valkyrie. Question is, does MSU have drones? Do they know it's coming? Valkyrie will just rejoin the site as J-Razor finally shuts down Guac, putting us back into the 3v3. They're gonna try to challenge again, and it won't go their way. J-Razor with another 3 kills this round, on pace for the ace. For 15 seconds, they can't get the wall. They're gonna have to walk in. Fang takes it away, but it won't matter. Louisville with their 3rd defensive round.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever need a reason for why you don't push funnels, that's the answer. I don't think I really need to explain much more than that. MSU didn't really have any other setup. They couldn't get anything that they wanted, right? They were so awestruck by J-Razor's boldness, that initiative, the nitro going out. They've lost so much just approaching site. They didn't really have a lot to work with here. And again, this is what Louisville's doing so well. They've learned from their mistakes and are now playing together, or at least taking the right approaches on aggression, giving it a direction, giving it a purpose, preventing MSU from truly exercising their attacking prowess.
And I gotta wonder too, right, for MSU, obviously lost a Blackbeard early, so those frag grenades would have been exceptionally helpful in clearing off those bandit batteries, Kaid Electric Claws, but they've had like a pretty big part of their attack be the hard breach every round. They're yet to bring a Thatcher. They're gonna bring one here, luckily, so we'll finally get to see them open this wall without too much trouble. Of course, the Electric Claw is very difficult to trick when you have a Thatcher. You can pretty easily shut those down. They do have to go onto the first floor as well. Basement unavailable. J-Razor on the frost yet again. Maybe putting those mats under the window. Fortunately for J-Razor, those can be shot from the rappel, so will not be long-lived.
I like this composition that Louisville is bringing forth with the frost. I mean, yeah, we see it all the time. It's nothing too
10 seconds left.
celebratory or bold. But just the fact that they're
5
always
seconds left.
keeping something as kind of a confidence booster. Hey, we're not gonna deal with any kind of force.
Defender is
They're
exposed.
building up a pyramid of confidence, which gives them the ability to be more aggressive, right? They're not just leaving gaping gaps as we saw towards the beginning of this first half. That's important. If they can confidently swing, they can make more plays. It's when they're nervous or uncertain or paranoid that they start to struggle. MSU doesn't really have a way, at least as far as this competition, to try to force anything. So Louisville can comfortably try to counteract this vertical, and we're seeing exactly that with the sheer number of players that Louisville have up.
Yeah, 4 players on vert. Of course, this is one of the sites where vertical play is necessary to win, but MSU did such a good job in game number 1 and kind of recognizing when this was the case and putting a lot of pressure on site. We'll see if they can do it again, Mr. Epic. Looks like going to be the tip of the spear here for Michigan State. Louisville is close, standing on this angle, can try to swing. Guac goes down, difficult to see if it's from fall damage or the enemy bullets, but regardless, the IQ will be revived. J-Razor still holding this angle. Looks like it probably was a kill. Guac gonna have to be very careful about how they reapproach this window. Steel taking some damage, but the breach is gonna come open. Forerunner, EMP, and the second one will secure that. They're not looking to go upstairs at all. They're just gonna roll right into the site. Yet again, they've identified there is only one player in sight from Louisville, and it's going to be Forerunner. Guac should be able to hold the cross as well. They know exactly where the Kaid is. They're down, and the site is defenseless. Michigan State, again, they're just looking to brute force their way in. The stun grenade will blind. The bullets will kill. Mr. Epic with one onto standing. J-Razor back onto the first floor. So is the rest of the defense, and just like that, Michigan State, top floor control with a minute to go.
The way that they played that vertical, and the way they put that pressure, rather than trying to force a plant like this direct side pressure, could be exactly the type that they need, unless they get stuck on this corner funnel here. West taking steel, major damage, J-Razor taking Overlord. Already a bit of a setback for MSU. They had a good start, but it's slowing down.
3-on-3 remaining for Michigan State. 30 seconds to get this plant down. Two still upstairs, and it looks like it's going to have to be Sergeant Anxiety, the one to get this bomb down. In the kitchen, but they don't have the diffuser yet. It is still on the ground, and unfortunately, it looks like the frag grenade won't open up the castle barricade, but the bullets will do the job as J-Razor falls. Guac will get picked up before being traded out by Sergeant Anxiety. They now have the diffuser. Look at Mr. Epic upstairs. He can stop Fang as soon as they move in, but Fang has a C4 in pocket, but it won't do much. Diffuser's down, Sergeant Anxiety gonna hold inside of this kitchen. Valkyrie can blow up this wall to create a second angle, but will be given the position away, and Sergeant Anxiety can hit those shots, just peeking over the edge of the kitchen. The buck upstairs as well. C4 onto the buck will only do about half health, and blinded is the Valkyrie. It's all rolling down for University of Louisville, and it looks like Michigan State, barring a miraculous comeback, is gonna take their second attacking round. Yeah, not enough time.
There's really not much they can do here with such little time. Gonna have to run it across, and yeah, getting it spotted right there over by kitchen. MSU could possibly really turn this around here. There's still one more round until the swap, and right now it's 3-2. They can definitely go 50-50 here. And like Steele correctly says, they're chilling. There's not a whole lot of pressure here to perform. The thing that is most notable in their playbook, they didn't use
protect your bombs from
their
being defused by
vertical
attackers.
and their horizontal to just outright take the site, which they had tried and failed several times. That time, the goal was simply to try to play the mind game. Make Louisville think that they were going to force sight, and they did make it look very convincing this was the approach they were going for. Louisville was conditioned to this. They rotated hard. MSU was stacked on their crosses from vertical and outside.
10 seconds remaining.
Hurt on them. And this created a legitimate opening where they
5
could
seconds
plant
left before
with
insertion.
not a whole lot of hassle.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and defuse
Good
it.
attack from Michigan State. We'll see if they can recreate their success here going on to the basement. Of course, did win one of their attacking rounds on this bottom floor, but lost the other. So Louisville definitely going to have their work cut out. And the key to success for Louisville last time they played the site was the early kills. They were able to pick up 3 in about the first minute. Really never gave Michigan State, a chance to get started. They're going to try to do the same thing here. So if I'm MSU, I am going to be extra careful in entering this building. It looks like Guac is trying to make entry onto this player inside a cafeteria. Going to be J-Razor. One of the better players on Louisville, so would be a great opening pick if MSU can find it. And there goes the blitz. Sergeant Anxiety is going to try to do just that.
Yep, already getting that immediate first floor presence. Starting to make Louisville nervous here, as they're already trying to pop off some shots on Anxiety to hold this off. Looks like we're seeing a little bit of a mix-up. Louisville hoping to hold their ground here for as long as humanly possible onto this exo stairs. That walk down actually worked very well for MSU last time, and they don't want that to happen again, even
Attackers
though
recovered the bomb diffuser.
MSU is clearly stacked to attempt just that. But I don't think they're going to be able to get that pivot again, especially with that
Diffuser has been
pushback.
dropped.
Holy crap! A flank to take 4 down.
I mean, yeah, why not? MSU gets folded inside of the site, or not even the site, rather, just inside of the building. 4 dead, now Steel gonna take a mock tactical timeout, of course, for anybody wondering. This isn't KD saving, this is not giving up. There's no way that Michigan State wins this round, having already used that timeout. They're just gonna take this minute to talk things over, get their defensive strategy working. So 4 defensive rounds goes to Louisville. Luckily for Michigan State, even though it's a much worse, or rather the same start they had last time, this is kind of what you expect on Nighthaven. This is about how the split goes.
The way that this played out, MSU made a critically poor calculation. You cannot try to do an EXO walkdown again. Fool me once, shame on you.
Knife
Fool
fight?
me twice, shame on Louisville if that were to actually get away.
This is intense.
By them putting themselves in that situation, okay, we're gonna do it. We're doing the knife fight. Who's taking this one? Put your bets,
15
folks.
seconds to
Fang
go.
or Steel.
Oh!
And it's gonna be Steel. That's 1.
seconds left.
That's 2. Jay Razor down. Okay, so Steel
5 seconds
can't
to
win
go.
the round, but he can certainly win a knife fight, as we're clearly seeing here. Trying to go for another, but nope. West will have the 2K refrag there.
Little bit of stat padding for Steel. Gets 2 kills before being taken down. In their defense, I don't think the Legion thought the knife fight was coming his way just yet. Jay Razor looked very ill prepared for that one. But the result is the same. Michigan State gets a moment to breathe, a moment to mentally reset. Fang very disappointed with the outcome of that. Yeah, I'm sure Mom's going to be not happy that you lost a knife fight, but at least you're winning the game. So definitely still going Louisville's way.
Attackers
2-4 for
locate
MSU now
and
have to
defuse
take
the
at
bomb.
least 4 defensive rounds if they want to push us to overtime. 5 for the win. It's definitely doable, but Louisville looks like a much more confident team in this match. So I think that's a big X factor, because I think we could see in the latter half of the first map them kind of start to falter, It didn't look like the same team we're used to seeing all season long.
I'm gonna correct you real quick.
Okay.
Remember how we started on Cafe?
I thought you were going to say started here. I was like, I'm going to ignore the team.
No. I'm saying, with Cafe, map 1,
5 seconds left.
Louisville was up 4-2 before MSU
Yeah.
Attackers are
swept.
moving out to locate a
That-
bomb.
that's why I said the
it was
second
on the
half of the
attack, but this time it's on the defense. Louisville is certainly looking strong starting out. So whether they can sustain that is the question, because Cafe is certainly very doable on the attack. Not so much on Nighthaven. So I do think MSU possibly has room to sweep here, even with picking up just 2 rounds. They just gotta keep that same magic they did last time.
They're already making an impressive amount of progress here. They're going to get the bandit battery as well, so that exterior wall will open. The defenders now going to get pushed out, and they're using the Monty. We saw MSU try it with the Blitz, with the Blackbeard, and it just didn't work. Maybe the Monty is a solution. Tuber out on the board, and it looks like Twitch will take out the Electric Claw as well. Wisely, Sergeant Anxiety just going to reinforce that wall. Don't want to give the attack anything to work with. C4 from you is a little... A tad bit early, to say the least here. Steel is now in a tough position with that exterior wall open. The glass is peeking through, and the Monty is moving up. That wall closed now. Mute cannot escape. Fang
bomb
hits the
has been
shots
located.
with the thermal, and just like that, opening kill goes the way of Louisville on a nice entry.
Yeah, real fatal position to hold there. Once that wall was getting reinforced, that was kind of the time to fall off or keep the line of sight. The decision making just wasn't really, lined up. If you're gonna reinforce it, you got to get out of there. But if you can't get your teammate out, you kind of have to keep it up to, play that crossfire. And MSU kind
Attackers
of
have dropped the bomb
did
diffuser.
neither there, putting them in their 4v5 situation. But does manage to get a nice swing on the forerunner to stall that offense push. And that's
Attackers
Monty
recovered
too.
the diffuser.
Forerunner's been playing very cavalier with this Monty as well, if you can remember. Dropped the shield a lot there in map 1. And dying this time, no C4s were used, nothing. I think he tried to peek one of the players and just got taken off for it. I like the aggression, but got to temper it at this stage, especially when, as we identified last time, this area is a funnel. If you don't get the breach open, you will die walking through this doorway. Monty, the only one that can effectively stop that. 45 seconds now, and without a Thatcher, no Twitch drones remaining, it looks like.
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
It's funnel time. I think Louisville is about to get pushed through the doorways, and that is not going to go well.
Unless they can manage to get this balcony,
Attackers recovered the
which
bomb
they do
diffuser.
manage to take. Faster timing, am I right, folks? Does take walk down. Mr. Epic going down as well. MSU is not looking too hot here. Now, walk up. We see the disaster rain. Jay Razor goes down. Only catches one, but now they know the presence. They know there's only one on
15
site with
seconds
the down. This is going to be a dire situation coming up.
And they just opened the side wall. Maybe a misstep here from MSU as the C4 gets the teammate. Sergeant Anxiety hits Overlord, who was tossing it out the door. And a massive miscalculation here. The second team kill for MSU. This time is going to be effective. Sergeant Anxiety takes down one on the balcony. The diffuser is down
Defenders have eyes on the
in a
diffuser.
1v2 post plan. Diffuser is close. Could even look to long arm it from this wall. But gonna have some trouble doing so. Both players prone behind different desks. Will get the first kill though on the West, and it's just Fang. The glass wins out though. The thermal scope trumps all. Fang with a triple to save this round for Louisville, and the attack starts off on the right foot.
That was looking so close for MSU to retake that. But some critical miscalculations there. They weren't really holding those power positions like they should have. Right? They reinforced that wall, gave up that crossfire too early. That cost a player. Then they didn't have anybody supporting
Protect your bombs from being
warehouse
defused by
balcony.
attackers.
That cost a player. And then on top of that, they just, well, at that point, it was basically too late. You already had a breakthrough, right? You had electrical room, you had balcony. There was a way to kind of push in, right? You weren't entirely funneled. You know, trade and you got sight. That's not a situation you want to be in when you're defending. But due to two critical misplays of positioning, and that's really what it was positioning.
10 seconds.
They
Yeah.
pretty much gave Louisville everything they needed to win that round.
5 seconds
They really
left
did,
before
and
insertion.
you kinda can't help but to think, right? If Michigan State never opens that wall into
Attackers must
Catwalk,
locate and defuse a
that
bomb.
run goes entirely different. The player dies on Catwalk anyway, didn't have any chance of getting back in, but just allowed the attack to kind of stream through when otherwise they would have been forced to the IT door and the stairs door, which we already saw the tuber out defend pretty effectively the first time around. Results the same though. Michigan State loses their opening defensive round and are now going to take it back downstairs. The extended room, you got to be careful of Mr. Epic here on this catwalk. He's yet to get it going this game, needs to find that form that he found just a week ago on this very same map to help MSU get over the edge. It'd be difficult to do though because Louisville is rolling. The drones are out and the drones are getting shot very quickly.
And already a heavy push coming in as Mr. Epic takes Jay Razor down. This is where I get scared. I feel like I am seeing kind of the same symptom. That's where it started, right? Was with Jay Razor pushing on his own and then getting knocked the heck out. I fear that if this becomes the beginning of the breakdown, we could be looking at the end, even though MSU is at a deep disadvantage. No, could be a fluke, as West does take walk down, but either way, I'm nervous.
Hard not to be. 4v4 now though for Louisville. Make it a 4v3 as Fang gets a kill on the Sergeant Anxiety. And the C4 evens it back up. Fang traded out immediately here by Overlord. Good use of the utility. Mr. Epic still trying to find their way back downstairs and now tracked by Deimos. Wes is going to be on the hunt and going to be up the stairs as well. Mr. Epic now has a choice. Try to fall back to the stairs, but Mr. Epic should win this gunfight. West has to be extremely careful, and the grenade will push him back. Nice pre-fire through the wall, but unfortunately not in time. Mr. Epic stays alive. There's a player waiting at the bottom. It's going to be Monty, and yet again Forerunner falls on the Monty. Not fully extended. This Monty continuing to drop this shield, give angles to the defenders, and it is working for him. 3v2 now for Michigan State.
This is honestly the best chance that MSU has had for a comeback in a good minute. Louisville pretty much flopped the roam clear at the very end. They were playing it so well, but they kind of got choppy. Now have to rectify with the fact there's still a player above, 32 seconds left, diffuser not in hand. There was a lot of room for error on the side of Louisville here, unless they can just completely get the drop on
Attackers have
everyone.
recovered their
Now
diffuser.
West looking to try to make this situation more sustainable. Maybe take out one towards second floor.
15
Standing
seconds
now,
remaining.
can walk down. I don't think there's hope here.
Attackers recovered.
No, they got the wall open, and
Attackers
it'll do them
has
justice.
been dropped.
Overlord with the final kill under the floorboards. West not able to hunt down Mr. Epic on the top floor. And it has to be said before we get further along, because I think Louisville is going to keep using the Monty. I like the way Forerunner's positioning. I like the pace from the Monty. Keep the freaking shield up. 2 rounds in a row. He's died where you can full extend. They cannot shoot you. Hasn't died to C4, just as died not having the shield up. Need to see it switched here from this
Attackers
attack if
need
it's
to
going to be
locate
useful.
and defuse bombs.
I feel like those solo plays are starting to come back. From West going on his own as Deimos, trying to hunt someone second floor, to Forerunner with the shield shenanigans, to Jay Razor solo clearing a roamer on a big roaming map like Nighthaven. I'm gonna be honest, signs are showing up. Do you think that Louisville closes this out before it's too late, Fisher? Or do you think that MSU is gonna run it back on a comeback streak? I'm getting nervous. I don't like this pattern coming back.
5 seconds
It doesn't
remaining.
go well.
You know, I'll say at the very least, I think Louisville pushes this to overtime. I don't think there's any way they lose the next 4 rounds. They have to win at least one. It's difficult to say because I think the elements are here for Louisville. Like you said, it's a pattern, and any good team should be able to see that pattern and put a stop to it. But the mechanical play is still good. The aim is on point for everyone, despite taking solo plays. I like the positioning on a lot of them, like the way West is hunting is the Deimos. If Forerunner is still alive or if Standing is in better position near the stairs, the way West played is fine, the way Forerunner's playing has been fine if they stay alive.
Wow.
They still have the tools, it just needs to connect, and Jay Razor taking down Sergeant Anxiety is going to be a good start. Still 2 players upstairs, Mr. Epic and Overlord. If I'm Louisville, I'm putting 100% of my focus to getting this top floor control.
Oh yeah, especially when you start off with a bang like that. Jay Razor on Nomad. I don't like
Attackers
it
have
being
located a bomb.
Jay Razor on Nomad lurking up waterfall stairs like that. That is beyond gutsy and not the right answer for a lot of different reasons. But he got away with it. He sure did. West taking steal as well. They've basically gotten this second floor on lock with such a good start. And now already taking site 2. They are moving fast. They are looking the front.
Forerunner, though, has a diffuser and is still upstairs, so they can't play even though they're in sight. Overlord gets 1. Forerunner has made their way outside, but taking a lot of damage. A kill from behind, though. Guat gets 1, and just like that, Louisville falling apart after a 5v3 lead. Where does it go wrong here for the attack? And the danger signs continue to show up here. Just what Piercing was scared about is starting to come to fruition. Michigan State look poised to take this round, and Forerunner is so low that Overlord effectively can kill them with the Clash Shield. As diffuser, there is no way this diffuser should go down as long as Overlord's alive. Fang is now the most important player in the lobby for this next 50 seconds.
You have to have some kind of gun up to try to prevent this walk up. If they, I'm gonna be honest, if they try to force this after what Louisville tried to do, which was so confusing. Why would you try to go for that force when you don't even have diffuser in hand? I'm not sure what was the specifics. Maybe they just lost diffuser and were gonna drop the hatch. But still, a major critical malfunction on the side of Louisville. Those kind of force plays is exactly what costs you big time rounds. They're losing what made them so convincing in the first half again.
15 seconds to go.
Just 15 seconds, yet again going to be funneled in the
10
doorway
seconds.
here. Monty should allow the entry here for this
5 seconds.
Osa, but it just doesn't matter. Overlord gets a kill with the shield, and Osa's going to be soon to follow up, courtesy of Mr. Epic with that MP7. it started off so well for Louisville, and I mean, it's so hard to diagnose, right? It just falls apart. There's nothing big that they're doing wrong. MSU is just playing better right now. Timeout taken by Louisville, which have to take a second to commend these teams. Not often you see college squads take use of that tactical timeout. Thankfully, though, both squads going to use that privilege this map.
Yeah, and Louisville definitely kind of needs it. But, yeah, I mean, this is a return to order for, you know, MSU. They were looking pretty rough in the first half, and they've almost brought it back. Tie again. And honestly, for Louisville, this timeout's absolutely everything. They are prime position to bring it to match point, and they are at the advantage by calling the timeout. If they can do that, they have a 2-round buffer to seal the deal. That's what makes the timing of this timeout so freaking important. Is secure a round and build space. Otherwise, they could lose it all.
Entering crunch time for both these squads. Just up to 3 rounds remaining if we don't go to overtime. Michigan State needs to win all 3 to stop that from happening. Louisville needs to win at least 1 to push us there, so gotta think the advantage somewhat lies with the Cardinals, but on this defense map, difficult to say how things will go. Michigan State have looked confident the last 2 rounds as well, and Louisville in both kind of collapsed in round number, I believe it was round number 8, kind of from the start, and round number 9, kind of in the end. And they started off so well, just unable to follow through. Of course, if you're a Louisville fan, hoping that doesn't happen this time around.
Look like we're gonna see a similar gambit to what had unfurled the first time that they tried this.
Attackers must locate
Now
and
with
defuse
Bang
the
on
bomb.
the glass, yet again, it does seem that we're gonna see kind of a office type of forest plant deal. Though I would like to see the warehouse control be invested a bit earlier with Azami off the board thanks to their defense ban. They do have that tool available to them to try and diversify the positioning, but so far they are heavily funneled towards that position, and man, that Nitro's a big blow. Literally taking Forerunner, Monty, already the first to be out.
And curiously, Michigan State, after getting the kill onto the shield, just put the wall up. The shield's down. You can continue to hold this room. Looks like they don't want to, though, as the exterior wall falls courtesy of Jay Razor. Yet again, the attack making quick moves. Just a minute in, are already right next to the site. And unfortunately there for Forerunner, I mean, unless you have a drone pre-placed in the cafeteria, no way to know that's there. You can't hear it through the floor. Tough situation there for the Monty, who's now sitting at 1-8. Not the game they want, but we'll see if they can impact rounds. Moving forward, Michigan State with all 5 members remaining. Still in a good position, despite the attackers taking a lot of ground really quickly.
Well, I mean, think about it. Why keep that wall down and fight it? Who do they have to get any walls open right now? Louisville has nobody. They've seen every player. You have West, maybe on Twitch, but otherwise those walls are going to be secured. And ooh, that could have been risky. Does manage to take the shotgun. That's big, but they do lose another player. The last hope to get any walls open. It is funnel central, unless they get warehouse balcony, which they have yet to do.
Yeah, I'd like to see how that one's approached this time from the defense, because luckily, I think Michigan State has proved they have more adaptability out of the 2 squads. At least it seems so through map 1. So I hope for their sake at least, you know, they have the wall closed. They're not going to leave it open this time for the attacker to just walk through. See how that is. Jay Razor trying to take some ground from the bottom floor. Not a Bucks, they're just going to be blind firing, excuse me, through those floorboards. Manages to get the wall denial though, so just like that, standing, looking to take this one up and should be able to. Bandit doesn't have a battery, so the wall will come open as soon as they can get this mute jammer off. Bandit can move it now. Bandit should move it now. Overlord's not moving it. I don't understand what the defense is doing here. You can very easily destroy this charge.
15 seconds
You don't
left.
need to. They're out of time. Those 2 rounds mean they're going to be forced to rotate.
10 seconds remaining.
Well, just 10 seconds. It is funnel time. You called it best. We'll see if the funnel works this time. Jay Razor trying to make entry on to Mr. Epic, who has reloaded and will not get the kill. 2 kills go the way of Louisville, but there's just not enough time. The guns come alive, but the time dies right underneath them. Michigan State even it up. 5 rounds apiece. 2 remaining for one of these squads to close it up.
Louisville could not afford that. That was a big blow. They're out of timeouts. They needed to at least bring it to match point. Now they're in overtime territory. They're even in losing territory. As in being knocked out entirely. They just didn't bring the right composition. The decision making wasn't there. If you know they're going to man center, you have to have some way to get those walls open. When you try to have a twitch and you're playing that against a Tubarão, a Bandit, and a Cade, I mean, you may get that wall open, but you're gonna lose so much time. That was a critical decision-making mistake for what should have been their round based on the merit of statistical probability of timeout.
Attackers
And they
must
lost
locate
it.
and defuse a bomb.
That's a big blow.
Really is. Couple rounds remaining here. Louisville continue to kind of use the same strategy. They're going to have a Damos to help clear their own. Forerunner back on the Monty. This time they do have Fang on the fuse, so if they get this first floor, can make a lot of impact. We'll see if that is the play. West this time has spotted out Mr. Epic yet again. And I think you correctly identified back in, what was it? I think round number 8. The reason this room clear didn't work was they all tried to challenge single-handedly. If they do that again, Mr. Epic is just going to win these trades. I have to point out, yet again, Jay Razor is the only one inside the site. And dies! Okay, yeah, caster timing to a T. Where is the follow-up from Louisville?
I don't know. Like I said, I saw the signs. I was like, it always starts with Jay Razor dying somewhere random. History repeats itself, folks. I kind of called if MSU took map 1, they were likely going to take map 2, and now it seems like all that theorizing is starting to come to fruition. Jay Razor down off the rip. All that space that he took as part of initial entry, done. Forcing the Louisville to start from scratch as they have Forerunner at the helm to try to establish that presence. And already he's diving towards the top fountain stairs. Does get spotted thanks to that utility, and Mr. Epic is now looking to isolate this player. That's going to push too far, though, as the player starts to wrap around him. He does! Bang to take Mr. Epic.
Luckily, the cavalry does come in this time around. Forerunner won't be punished for the shield drop. But Mr. Epic was ready for it. But, you know, the player's there to clean up, so inconsequential from the Monty. Good evening this up, and now the drones just don't work. Sergeant Anxiety, able to get a lot of damage done on the hop in. Not able to get the kill though, so West will stay alive to track. But last time they only had Defender spotted. I don't know if he can use this Damos track on anyone else.
Well, so far, we haven't seen any pings, and now would be the time to run it since they do have the vertical control. Though it looks like Louisville is going to try to go for a dive to push onto Pillar. One Nitro goes through, doesn't connect, and here we go. Will it succeed? You tell me, Fisher.
Doesn't look like it has yet. Sergeant Anxiety takes down West. Diffuser is going down from the attack, but standing falls outside. It is all going to be on Fang to cover from above. The Diffuser's down from Louisville, which is a good thing. But look at Sergeant Anxiety. He doesn't know Fang's in the storage room, and it'll cost them. And just like that, Guac has to get this kill on the Fang. Otherwise, the round is effectively over. Overlord can long arm this, but Forerunner's just gonna drop the shield. When they do, make it a 2-on-1. It's only the Monty. Forerunner drops early to try to get the mute, and will get them on the ground, but not dead. They die again. Michigan State on the match point, and they want to end this one here.
Bomb defusing attempt
Gotta
failed.
love the
Defenders
teabagging
win.
there. But holy crap, they completely fumbled the vertical. First floor, second floor, MSU just kept slapping back on that jump. And I love the way they called the pacing. It was too quiet. way too quiet for how slow Louisville's progression has been from second to first floor. They rolled the dice by keeping their players above. No fallback, all retaliation,
Locate and defuse
right?
bomb.
Nowhere near as much on-site presence as it was playing the post plan. MSU, they were able to afford it
Attackers have
because
discovered the
Louisville had
location of a bomb.
nothing to lock them out. They weren't even prepared for the pushback. How many of those gunfights did we see where Louisville's back was completely turned? Too many to count, at least for me. Yes, I cannot count to 5. I am that dumb. I'm kidding, of course. I'm being hyperbolic. But on a serious note, I don't remember what the count is. And MSU made a huge gambit. And they pulled it off with
5
grace.
seconds to insertion.
Louisville is about to run it back again. This is their
Attackers are
last
moving to
chance.
defuse the bomb.
They
Defenders
gotta
have been
wise up
discovered.
here.
Luckily for Louisville, they're gonna, you know, they're gonna have the best chance, right, going to kitchen. So we'll see just what happens. If you remember, of course, back a couple rounds ago, they were kind of on the upper hand in the kitchen. They were in sight, they had top control, and literally just kind of fell apart. So hopefully this time they've identified that. It will not happen again. We'll see how useful they can make this. They got 2 opening kills in the last round as well when they attacked this side. They're going to have to repeat that method of success if they want it this time. I believe Sergeant Anxiety was the first to fall on the Aruni. Being in the second floor should be one of the first to see the action, too.
Special charge. Stay clear.
So far, it looks like they're already getting that wall presence immediately, as well as trying to establish a tempo game, looking to sweep out this second floor here. But as long as Louisville plays this close together, like we saw against Fountain Stairs, they should be able to take this pretty convincingly, though Overlord might try to slow that down, and they do
Big kill.
successfully get Mr. Epic. Jay Razor gonna be the one to take one instead of being taken down.
Nice kill from Jay Razor. 4 unanswered rounds from Michigan State. Gonna need to make it 5 if they want to win without overtime. Of course, now OT, all Louisville can hope for. Sergeant Anxiety is in electrical. I don't know if they've drone this. Jay Razor doesn't look like he's aware, and he isn't. The Aruni gonna get the kill. The missed drone from Louisville will hurt them. Aruni gonna drop back down the hatch. Back at 4-4. Top fragger off the board for Louisville. And now the panic starts to set in for this attack. Blinds out, so Overlord going to be pushed back for the moment. Top floor control belongs again to Louisville, but look at Sergeant Anxiety is by those stairs, can look to regress. And Overlord is going to cause a problem. No EMPs, no way to deal with this clash. Difficult to see if the main breach is open as well. Looks like it should be coming soon. Steel in sight. Panicking a little bit, 50 seconds for this attack to make their push, and with the wall open, with the clash down, it'll get a lot easier. How about this from Louisville? Forerunner with the diffuser in hand and try to push in there again, going for an early execute and leave themselves plenty of time if it doesn't work out. Turtle Plant going down, Forerunner at half, Forerunner gets down, the C4 rings through, Fang with the kill though, left in a 4v2, make it 3, as Forerunner's cleaned up, standing with 1, Louisville are 1 kill away from pushing themselves to OT. Steel with no C4, no support, gonna have to push out into this hallway. Top floor momentarily forgotten. Deimos knows exactly where this Kaid is. They have to get the kill. They are not going to have enough time to plant. It's going to need to be bullets all the way. The Deimos hopping in will die. Revolver out from Steel. Needs to get one more. Look at the time. There's not enough. Fang has to get this kill when the Kaid runs in. Kaid, the diffuser, is gonna go down! Standing gets it barely! Fang can't get the kill! Goes for it! Doesn't get it! Michigan State are your grand finals winners!
Bomb diffuser
I
disabled by
cannot
defenders.
believe it.
Defender mission successful.
Steel! What did you just do to them? What did you just do? I cannot believe what I just saw. That was not supposed to happen. Let me reiterate that. That was not supposed to happen. West had the intel. They knew exactly where he was. There was no doubt about what was happening. But Louisville, they were so extremely staggered. And that vault, the suicide vault, that is how you lose one of the most crucial rounds of this entire matchup. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, folks. This isn't scripted. I know we like to run that joke, but I just, man, as far as analytics go, this was just a blunder of epic proportions. I really can't put a positive on that. They weren't in position to prevent that. I mean, hiding behind the reinforced wall, blunder number one. Vaulting in with active live intel from both ends, where you have a few frames where you can't shoot back, blunder number two. Waiting till the last second to plant, blunder number three. I mean, it's just a perfect storm. But I think this just kind of perfectly encapsulates what we were seeing through both game one and game two. Just these little mistakes, positioning, solo plays, this little stuff. And MSU just kept reading it. They saw the writing on the walls and punish it so hard. And that's really what sealed the fate. We kind of called it. If MSU took Cafe, it was going to be a wrap. Though, very close. Very close. Still a wrap. 2-0.
I mean, no doubt about it. That is the craziest ending you will ever see to a game, especially a grand finals match, 3v1 with 10 seconds left, and it all goes wrong, right? We'll try to stop harping on it a little bit because I'm sure on the side of Louisville, a heartbreaking loss. It truly can't get worse than that. But on the flip side, Michigan State, second place finish last season. They get the redemption, they get it done, and they do it impressively. What is it from them? It's really hard to say anything else, but in case anyone wanted to get an insight of what goes into that win, what goes into a championship team mentality, we're going to throw it to a short break and be right back with an interview from a player on the side of Michigan State. Don't go anywhere. We will be back in just 5 short minutes. Welcome back on to Midwest R6. We're here post-game with two players from Michigan State. It's Overlord and Sergeant Anxiety. So before we get into any questions, anything at all, how does it feel, Grand Finals champions?
I mean, it's pretty surreal. Coming into the year, I told all these guys, we are the best team in Div 5. Let's go out there and prove it. We had our hiccups, but we went out there, we proved it. We had a good performance. Some funny ones, some funny rounds, but we're just super stoked that we came out on top.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'll keep this one pretty short and sweet. Game one, right? We had a lot of talk pregame about Mr. Epic. Was showing out last week, had insane stats, but Guac stepping up, 19-9. Just how freeing was that for you guys having that kind of stat pad in your squad that game?
Yeah, I think it was absolutely freeing. Guac and Epic both easily our best players on the roster, so it was super satisfying to not only have the padding and have the added breathing room that comes with having someone of that skill level on your team, but it was also extremely satisfying to just see these guys playing the best seeds that they can play. Really nothing warms my heart more as a captain and as an IGL than seeing players really kind of hit their full potential and hit their full stride, and I think that's definitely what we did here today.
Okay. So I guess we'll start with me then, because I definitely want to go and delve into what happened out, on the field. So map 1, Cafe. Second half, when you guys were attacking, we saw a lot of on the dot swings, pings, intel. As far as the playbook goes, do you have a specific mentality for Cafe to be that drone heavy? Because I mean, pretty much everywhere Louisville went, you guys knew of it, had it down to the very minute detail of where they were in that instantaneous moment and capitalized on it. Was it adaptation? Because a lot of drones weren't getting shot out, or is that just kind of the playbook? What was going on there? Because it worked really well.
So one thing we noticed on tape is that, it's a very roam heavy team. Jay Razor, obviously an amazing player, and he used to play on an island. Today, I thought they did a better job playing together. They caught us out a couple times. But we knew that anytime that we wanted to go for like a top-down clear, especially especially when they're like kitchen, we knew that we were going to have to use basically all of our drones for that roam clear and set up as many crosses as we could. And I mean, we just started calling that, these guys are playing like third floor heavy. Let's send somebody second floor. Let's cut them off. Let's make sure they can't run. And then let's just send as much pressure as we can at them from the top floor and try and force them back. And we were getting probably 2 picks around, and we were losing maybe 1 person. So we were just doing really good on the trade game. And I think that all those like kind of little adjustments, botting a little bit beforehand just really helped us out, especially when clearing those roamers.
Mm-hmm. So I guess my next question is, how prepared were you for this map? I know you kind of tapped into it a little bit, but how many scrims was this a map that you were ready to play on like full send like any other map, or was this kind of like a, not expected? What was kind of the aura going into Cafe?
We were trying to get it banned. We were hoping they were going to ban it, but after we saw their bans, we knew that it was either going to be Cafe or Lair. We scrimmed it the last couple days, just found a couple different adaptations we could do depending on what we saw from them. And obviously, I think we executed that great. I think it was just, we weren't exactly hoping for Cafe, but we can adjust on the fly, and
Speaking of, since you mentioned Lair, if it came down to that map, would you guys have been prepared for that, or would that have been a train wreck situation?
Not prepared at all. That would have definitely been a train wreck situation. It's funny. In the weeks leading up to this, we actually scrimmed Jay Razor's other stack, his other team, and we played them on Lair and absolutely got our butts handed to us. So definitely a map that we would not have been prepared to go to.
Fair enough. We saw that the decider was potentially going to be Skyscraper. I mean, I'm personally am beyond sad we didn't get to it. I am a Skyscraper crutch. But how are you guys feeling about the possibility of going into Skyscraper? Because that was very much a possibility. It was down to the wire before you closed it out in spectacular blaze of glory.
So, I mean, we knew that this team was not good at Skyscraper. So we said that if we have to get it down to a cider map, we would love to get it down to Sky. Because we scrim Sky a lot. It's probably the map we scrimmed the most that we didn't actually have to play during the regular season. So we were prepared to lose Cafe and take it all the way to Sky. It didn't come to that, but I think we would have beat them on Sky all the same.
For sure.
Gotcha. All right, so I'll give you one more game question, and then we'll start to close it out. On Nighthaven, one of the things that I saw that was so interesting, I forget what the site's called, and that's my fault as a caster. It was like the office side next to electrical. You took one and then immediately reinforced that wall. What was the decision making there? I mean, from our perspective, we could clearly see that they didn't have any way to get any walls open. So by you reinforcing that, you pretty much gave them no opening whatsoever. They were 100% funneled, which is exactly what happened. That was a devastating situation for Louisville. Was it intentional to play it out that way, or was there a different reason for reinforcing that instead of, trying to fight it out and maybe take another?
Definitely an intentional decision on our part. One of the things we practiced most in scrims was kind of talking about, obviously nothing's going to go perfect at the end of the day. No plan survives first contact with the enemy. And so, one of the things we wanted to make sure we were practicing is kind of figuring out, what side are they going to push from, and then how do we make that, kind of either as miserable or as tunnely or as funnily as possible. And so, part of that adjustment for us was, okay, if we notice that they're going really heavy connector, which it seemed like they went pretty heavily connector there, instantly we get our one, we take our picks, and then we just back off. We let them waste time. We let them waste utility. And then eventually, force them in through, electrical, and then, fish in a barrel as far as that's concerned.
Pretty much. You summarized that perfectly. Fisher, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, once again, congratulations. Incredible match from you guys. Very fun to watch as well. A close one, but well-fought victory. So before we send it out here, any last words, any last thank yous, anything at all you guys want to get off your chest?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my team. Like I said last week, hardest working group of guys I think I've known. Shout out to Steele for winning the last knife fight. It was nice that he got some practice earlier in the round. And was able to kind of bring that back to win it in spectacular fashion. Shout out to our club president, Anna, really makes all this possible. And shout out to MSU for letting us play in the lounge and allowing us to take advantage of these opportunities and play the game we want to play.
Shout out to my mom. I love you, Mom.
Oh, I always got shout out, Mom. Very good send-off. Once again, congratulations. Michigan State Grand Finals winners finally got that one off the back. That being said, thank you everybody for watching here on Midwest R6. Been Kingfisher along with Piercing. Make sure you don't go anywhere. Division I Finals just around the corner. Akron taking on Iowa State. Going to be an even more incredible game, I hope. I don't know how it's possible, but we'll see in just a few short minutes. We'll be back on the other side of this break.
I don't want you to know them.